Hey, what's up, and welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 7, Episode 7. Today we're talking about Brainscan from 1994, directed by John Flynn, which just might be the first horror movie involving a video game. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Welcome to the Dumpster. So here we are, Sean. This is actually a replacement episode.
Oh, yeah, for people keeping count at home.
For people keeping count at home, this was supposed to be the Harry and the Hendersons episode.
Which is still coming in the future, but yes, it got replaced.
Yes.
The door got kicked down. This thing came out of the fucking TV. We got this CD in the mail. We popped it in, and now we are covering a completely different beast, if you will.
Well, that's certainly true. Tim Nugent from Tapes from the Crypt was supposed to be on this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for Harry and the Hendersons, which he still will be. I just wanted to talk about that for a second. Because he wasn't feeling very well on the date of this recording, and we needed to get one in the pocket so we could release for our second episode of April.
Right.
But he will be coming back for Harry and the Hendersons in June, I believe. After May. Yeah.
Go out there, sniff the summer air.
Yes.
In June. I mean, you can do it now. It's kind of just still the spring air. You get that
still
sappy
spring
scent.
Yeah, but fucking
Water on the ground.
put a big hump in the top in your fucking Volkswagen or your station wagon there.
Yeah, there you go.
Poke your head up. Yeah. Hit a Bigfoot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, like Goofy movies. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, yeah, I guess I haven't seen it in a long time. There you go.
Well, maybe you can bring that up when we talk.
Okay, yeah, I will. Staying alive. Goofy movie.
So Brainscan, dude, it's funny because we were looking at the list of stuff and we're like, okay, we need another episode for April, so what are we going to do? Well, we were looking at the list of all the stuff that we've been wanting to do, and we were like, oh, well, Brainscan would be a good one. Like, that feels right. We're right in the pocket there. It's still April. It's that kind of, coming out of spring or coming into spring type movie.
Feels like it.
It's kind of dreary. It's a little, it's definitely rainy. It kind of has like an autumn feel to it, so it could be either going into autumn or coming into spring, one or the other. So it kind of worked out.
It also scratches like a particular itch for me and maybe yourself on the video game corner of Movie Dumpster. Maybe not as much as I wanted it to. This is definitely more Lawnmower Man than Mario Brothers or Double Dragon even. But it did scratch that itch a little, so it's nice to kind of dig into video games. I got a few more on the list I want to tackle maybe this year or next year, but that was also a kind of reason to push into this film, because we always love chopping into that block, the old Mario cheese block, if you will. That even makes any fucking sense.
The thud butt cheese block?
Hook. See, you read my mind. I was trying to... Horrible analogies. Let's move on.
That's all right.
Brainscan, yes, it's been on the docket for years is the point.
We'll get to that thud butt cheese at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, man, this is much more like an atmospheric kind of psychological thriller with video game at its core.
True.
But it's really not, like you said, I understand. You want some stay alive shit. Right? Is that...
yeah, I mean, we got that eventually with Stay Alive.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is kind of more so what I want. And what we got is still interesting, but it is not that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The other thing about this is we didn't even realize it's the 30th anniversary of this film.
Total coincidence.
This was literally one of those, let's pick it off the list, and it just happened to be the 30th anniversary. So that's a bonus.
Yes, another funny coincidence, just doing this back-to-back with heavyweights. Two characters with almost verbatim hairstyles. This guy does it in red. Tony Perkins does it in the jet black.
We're going to get into Trickster and
Load out bullet.
The MDU's strong with this guy.
Oh, in the MDU, he's a fucking... He's troublesome. He's a little gremlin.
But yeah, before we pop in disc 1 of 4 of Brainscan, if you want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/moviedumpster. You can get yourself an ad-free audio version of the show for as little as $2 a month. You can support the show. You can get commentary tracks and sticker packs at the $5. You can get t-shirts and sticker packs and live watch-alongs with us at the $10 tier too. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff for you in there, depending on how much you like the show. But why don't you help support your favorite show? That would be awesome.
And And for nothing at all, if you're watching here on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe and share the video with your friends. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, please leave us that 5 stars and possibly a review if you got time. Give us that thumbs up on your Spotifys and your iTunes. Get us out of the bottom of the dumpster into more eardrums, eyeballs, and everything in between. It really does help a lot.
Yeah, man, those ratings and those reviews, they help more than anything, even more than the Patreon. Any financial stuff, that helps more. Leave a review, leave a rating. It really helps the show. But yeah, if you want some more stuff, you want to find out where the Dumpster Boys are going to be, you can head over to moviedumpsterpodcast.com, or you can follow us on social media at Movie Dumpster, wherever you use your socials. And yeah, follow us there. And on the website, we have a store and we have a calendar, so definitely check it out.
So with that said, let's get into this. We got some behind the scenes, I'm sure. I read a couple names on there I want to get into, honestly.
We're going to talk a little bit about it because there's a lot of big people working on this.
Yeah.
Working on this movie. I guess we could talk about how it was conceived.
Okay.
And this was written by Andrew Kevin Walker. I believe it was like under a spec script.
Oh.
Somebody else had the idea. He wrote the script, but he was very young when he was doing it. And I think it was like an 89-ish. And he had worked for this company that went out of business, and then it was picked up, and then the Brainscan script was picked up, and then one day he just saw his name in the credits, and he was like, oh shit.
Didn't even get a call?
I don't think so.
Oh man, that sucks.
According to him, I don't think so. But his name might sound familiar to you because he's done some huge films. He's written some huge films. Seven.
What's in the box?
What's in the box, indeed.
The trickster's head's in the fucking box, maybe.
And he wrote 8mm.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
he wrote Sleepy Hollow.
Huh.
He also
Tim Burton movie?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
And he wrote one of my favorite Tales from the Crypt episodes, Well Cooked Hams. Martin Sheen and Billy Zane. They're like magicians. It's a really good episode.
Not to be confused with Principal Skinner's steamed hams.
No,
Okay.
Two different kinds of hams.
Right.
Yeah. And just one thing about the script too. In his original script, there was no trickster. It was a voice on a telephone, and the studio added the character, which I think works out better for the film because it was that thing in the 90s where everybody was trying to do the new Freddy.
Well, Warwick takes the fucking crown for that one,
Right.
But yeah.
No, for sure, but like they wanted their icon. They wanted a franchise.
Yeah,
That's where they were going with this.
Hellraiser even tried to move in that direction, unfortunately.
Well, that's how those movies kept going, was because of the Cenobites, to be perfectly honest.
That's true.
That's not necessarily what Hellraiser's about.
No, yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? So we have Trickster, and he's in the movie now, opposite Edward Furlong, and I think it works better than if it was just a voice on the telephone. We do get some of that, but we'll get into it. But I think having an actual character there to bounce off of and kind of be this kind of pseudo conscience thing, I think it works really well. Plus, he's just a crazy fucking villain.
No, he is. He's
I love
very
it.
Joker-esque.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong, we'll talk about him when we actually get into the movie. He needed help in this one. T2, I don't know, maybe it was a miracle. I'm not sure. He's great in that. Maybe it's just Linda Hamilton and Arnold holding him up and the T-1000. Like, he's fine in this, but there's a couple scenes I'm like, man, Edward, they needed to hand you this trickster. They needed to hand you Kimberly to get you through some of this shit.
Well,
It's unfortunate, in my opinion.
This is the beginning of the rough
That's what I read.
point in his life. So we can talk a little bit about that when we get to Ed.
Yeah, so I didn't want to go into that now. Just preload it a little.
No, yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate because I mean, yeah, right. He came off T2, and he was only 13 making that, and
Which
then
is crazy to think
about.
about.
Then he did what is it, A Home of Our Own with Kathy Bates. And that's like a drama movie where there's like this family, the Lacey's, where they like move in with this Asian guy and they like help him fix up his house and clean his house and shit.
Like a feel good kind of movie.
It's like a sweet movie about a single mom and like fucking 10 kids, and they
my God.
it's great. I mean, it's a drama.
Sure.
I don't know about I guess feel good at the end, but it is a drama. Like, it is a lot of sad
More
parts in it.
serious,
Yeah,
sure.
but it's more serious. It's not a horror movie. It's not an action movie. It's like a very character driven film, drama.
No, yeah.
But then right off that, he makes this movie, I'm pretty sure. So, and then we'll get into that a little bit. But before we do, I want to hit some other points. We got Steve Johnson.
I was about to bring
on
him up.
effects here, baby. The XFX crew is coming in with the Trickster makeup, and it looks fucking so good. it's funny because Steve Johnson even says it's like, oh, on the Scream Factory DVD or Blu-ray rather, if you haven't grabbed it, pick it up. It's totally worth it. It's super cheap. I think there's still you can get it fairly easily.
Great transfer.
It's beautiful, and there's some really good special features by Mike Felsher's Red Shirt Pictures on there. He always does all the stuff for Scream Factory and stuff. The special features and interviews and things. But there's some really great stuff on there, and it was fun watching that because I love my special effects. So any behind the scenes special effects stuff is always a great bonus to check out. But Steve Johnson's on there.
And if you're not keeping track at home, constantly on the show. Famous effects artist,
responsible for Bad Moon,
Leviathan.
Well, he was working. I think he was working with Stan Winston. On
I think so. Go back. We did an episode on it with Tony from Hack the Movies.
Night of the Demons. Famously, Night of the Demons and Night of the Demons 2 and not 3. 1 and 2.
He did Freddy's Death in 4.
He did some stuff for 4. Well, that was John Carl Buechler.
Well, he's attributed on his Wikipedia page that he was.
Oh, he might have. I think there was I think
that's the only thing he might have done for it.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, probably.
And he did Lord of Illusions, which the practical effects in that I think are incredible. The digital a little less so. But
I mean,
I'm assuming he did the practical.
He's a legend.
Yes.
He's worked on everything from Ghostbusters to Lord of Illusions, like you said. Like just incredible dude all around, and responsible for a lot of our favorite stuff. But his crew works on this flick, and we got Norman Cabrera. Doing the design work and sculpting, I believe. He worked a lot under Rick Baker for a lot of those shows. It's kind of funny because I followed him for years on Instagram, which is kind of funny.
Coincidentally.
Yeah, and also Bill Corso too did the application, I believe. Oh no, excuse me. He did the sculpting of the Trickster stuff. And
looks great.
I believe that's what he's accredited as. But then there's Andy Schoenberg that had the responsibility of applying it to the actor.
There's just so many people involved. I just tend to forget. I know you're a little bit more keyed on that. Not that I don't know that from watching behind the scenes, but how many people just to get this effect to look so good, or this makeup so good, I should say.
Well, very rarely is one person doing
right.
I mean, it's just mostly impossible. I think of a lot of shows that Tom Savini did, where it was a lot of him just kind of by him. I mean, he had assistants, but he was kind of by himself, in hotel rooms,
those
molding shit and making stuff. I think of Creepshow and I think of The Burning, and he's making the shit in a hotel room and then bring, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now you see the behind the scenes of Batista getting the makeup on when he was doing Drax, and there's 4 or 5 people painting on him. Yeah.
I mean, just for Trickster, it took them, it takes 4 to 6 hours to put these guys in makeup, and it's so funny to me because
he's got those long fingers too.
There's a lot of independent productions that I've witnessed or been a part of where people have to go through this stuff, and more often than not, I've noticed that people don't understand how long things take for film, whether it's lighting a scene, getting the shot right, and that's the easier part versus somebody going into makeup or setting up a special effects shot. It's very nerve-wracking. It's very hurry up and wait, and it's very hurry up, we need to get this done, and you still have, there's so much you could do or try to fix.
Time sensitive
shit, and it's very stressful. But you get those great 3 to 5 seconds.
No, you do,
and
though.
It looks amazing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And a lot of that's always the thing, right?
That's what makes it memorable.
It's 6 to 8 months, even 12 months worth of work for 5 seconds on camera.
I mean, even just from editing our show and the stuff for my day job, I know you're damn, I worked for an hour. Oh fuck, 15 minutes in the edit. It's oh no.
And that's
I thought I got further. That's what I mean, though.
And that's just editing.
You're 100% right. Yeah. Filmmaking is very long. It's rewarding, but it's a long process.
I feel like now more than ever, a lot of people that do those things aren't respected at all. I think they are taken advantage of. I think they're the time that they make the things and how good they are and the amount of time that they are managed to get it done is taken for granted. So that's my opinion. Anyway.
Hopefully that changes, and they just
I don't think so.
Well,
it would all have to collapse first, and then we can go back.
They had that strike. I don't really excuse my ignorance. I don't know how much the effects people are involved. I think they might have been involved. So maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, Joe.
Well, of course they're involved because if movies aren't getting made, they're not doing effects.
Right, well, that's true, right?
But yeah, I mean, I again, just to come back real quick to Norma Cabrera and Bill Corso. I mean, these guys worked on, Harry and Norman Cabrera worked on Harry and the Hendersons, Coming to America, Scarecrows, which we covered. We did a watch along.
Yes, on patreon.com/movie dumpster.
There you go. Don't forget it. Fright Night 2, he did. And then, like I was saying, Bill Corso, I mean, he's done effects on a ton of stuff. Specifically the Boneyard that we covered. He was on that team.
Poop and Plats,
baby.
Maybe he worked on Poop and Plats. He might have.
It's possible he was on that team. And he worked on Freaked, the Alex Winter film.
Love that movie.
We got to cover that.
That's a classic.
We need to get Matt Cannon on for that. Matt Cannon's got to come on for Freaked, and he's got to come on for Little Monsters. Those are two things that needs to happen.
The Matt Cannon double feature.
Yeah, baby.
Lapses himself.
But he also did makeup for Tony Fields, who was Sammy Kerr in Trick or Treat. He did He did makeup on Tony Fields for Monsters in the episode Outpost. So I thought that was kind of funny because Trickster also has some Sammy Kerr-esque elements to him, which I'm going to talk about a little later.
I think the writers, the guy that actually wrote the script at the end of the day, Brian Owens, who took over from that other guy. Yeah. Maybe he watched Trick or Treat in the background.
Could have, right? Because I think Brian Owens, either it was original story or they kind of souped it up. I don't think it's attributed because that dude's script. Sorry, just real quick, side tangent. Yeah. That dude's script isn't his original script, so somebody futzed with it before they made the movie.
100%. Yeah, clearly, especially if they didn't even tell him it was coming out, and he just went to the theater and saw it.
It was paid for and done at that point, so it was like, right then. They gave him his credit, though, so there you go.
Better than nothing.
But it's just crazy because, like, Norman Cabrera's doing, still doing, like, crazy big movies. Like, he did effects for Malignant, and he worked under Spectral Motion for that, I believe. And even Bill Corso, dude, he did Deadpool 1 and 2, and he just did Destroy All Neighbors, that new flick that just came out. So I think that's pretty fucking cool. This little pissant... 1994 low-budget horror movie, and, there's, like, legends working on it,
That's a good point.
It's pretty cool. Moving right along to the score, which I absolutely fucking love in this movie. It really sets the mood, dude.
It fits it well.
It fits it really well. And it's done by George S. Clinton.
Yes.
Not Funkadelic George Clinton.
Beat me to that joke. That's the low-hanging fruit one, but I'll let you have it.
Because I got confused at first. I was like, wait,
I did too. I was like,
wait a second. There's another George Clinton. It's like George S. Clinton. Okay.
The funny thing is we've probably had this exact conversation at least 2 or 3 times on this show because he did music for Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Yes. The entire Austin Powers series.
Yeah. I thought Quincy Jones did one.
I looked it up. He's got all 3.
And so did I. Yeah.
Anyway. And the connection, MDU is real kind of shit, movie dumpster universe. Even with the music, he also did Beverly Hills Ninja, which is just kind of funny to me, making the Mortal Kombat connection even in the music.
With Robin Shou, baby.
And this guy's great. Every movie I've ever seen him score, he does a great job.
It's so crazy, too, because, like, again, check out that Shout Disc. They do an interview with him.
Oh.
And he got his start because he was in a band. And he was playing at this club one day, and fucking Cheech and Chong are there.
Oh, because he did a couple of their first movies.
He plays a set. And then after they're done, Cheech and Chong are like, yeah, you want to do the score for our movie? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So he does Up in Smoke and the Corsican Brothers.
Right. Do you think they smoked him up?
Probably.
I hope they did. They seemed like they would.
In the interview, he's like, I don't know, it doesn't matter if it was bad or not because everybody was fucked up, so whatever, doesn't matter.
I love that.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Oh, just real quick too, the interview with Steve Johnson. I'm not gonna spoil it, but him and Andy Schoenberg have a joke or a great story where because they shot this in Canada.
Okay.
So they crossed the border into Canada, and that's all I'm gonna say. Check out the disc. It was hilarious.
Speaking of the MDU being real, Joe. Yeah. Guess who fucking edited this movie?
Ted Nicolau?
I wish. Jay Cassidy, who famously edited Frankenstein fucking Unbound.
Really?
Which kind of makes sense, and I'll expand on that later.
That's interesting.
Yes. Just kind of going down the list. Had a little extra time this week. I was like, who else is involved here? Jay Cassidy, huh? Because you're just talking about people that are... not talked about. At least I don't see talked about. I'm sure there's circles on the internet, people talking about editing, no doubt about it. I'm sure there's a subreddit and a forum I don't know about, and people are yelling at me online right now. But yeah, the editing is another thing I feel like I want to start looking at editors. I do this professionally. I got to know these people. What am I doing, Sean?
Well, yeah, man.
Jay Cassidy, I got you on my list. You're in my fucking radar, Jay. What happened with Frankenstein Unbound, goddammit?
These are
Nobody was over your shoulder. Where was Corbin in the studio on that one?
This is the whole point of the show, is to
No, you're
highlight
right.
people that don't really get talked about a lot or don't get acknowledged much, or, you know, movies that at the core movies, of course, but the
yes.
people who worked on them as well. So that's kind of so that's really interesting. I didn't even that's a hell of a connection.
I just clicked on the name and here we are.
It all comes back to Frankenstein. It's the
Yeah.
Big Bang, baby.
John Hurt did it all,
He
Joe.
did.
Went through that fucking Buchanan and took the entire MDU with him.
Whenever you think that it's not John Hurt, aka Joe Buchanan, it is.
Every time we get away from you, Joe, you pull us right back in.
It's you know what happens when you stare into the abyss too long.
Hoo-ha!
The abyss stares back. So yeah, do you want to crunch this real quick for us?
Sure.
Real quick. We've saying this a couple episodes, and then all of a sudden we're talking about the whole fucking movie. It's a plot crunch.
Okay, geesh.
Not just you. I mean, just in
The
general.
collective, yes.
Yeah.
So John Connor, and again, we'll get into it, MDU, but John Connor
was sent back in time
was sent
from
back in
Daniel
time
Baldwin.
From Daniel
Right.
Baldwin, right. No, this kid Mike, played by Edward Furlong, he's a troublemaker. Because he's left to his own devices all the time, and he kind of went through a terrible accident as a child, so he's got his reasons, but long story short, he gets this video game, this horror video game from
Fangoria, man.
Fangoria.
There's an ad in Fangoria.
Yeah, and he calls the number. He's the only one that calls it, apparently.
Well, no, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it's this video game comes to his door, and he plays it, thinks nothing of it, and come to find out, oh, whoops, you accidentally murdered somebody by playing the game. And this creature called the Trickster comes out and kind of tries to force him to commit more murders by playing this game, and literally tricking him throughout the film to do things that he does not want to do and says he does not want to do, but then he does.
He's a tricky trickster.
Yes. And there's also a little love story twisted in this these teenage hearts. And it's also a slasher movie. Had to kind of think about that, but I guess it kind of is by the end of it.
Less of a slasher, but yeah.
No Friday the 13th, but it fits the criteria.
There are some bloody parts,
Yeah.
but it's definitely more psychological
Yes.
than yeah.
And I guess this plot crunch just dives into a wormhole, because there's a lot of that happening in this, because this is definitely in the Lawnmower Man universe, because we're diving into video games, we're diving into TVs, we're looking for Kylie O'Rourke.
Oh, yeah.
And we kind of just, we follow this kid as he's now involved with these video game related murders, as he tries to battle against this demon gremlin video game tulpa thing. And that's basically the movie.
You know, your own worst enemy is yourself, right?
Yes.
How the old saying goes.
That's weirdly a spoiler for very late in the film, but yes.
Kind of. Sort of. We'll get there.
Yes.
So, yeah, like you're saying, Edward Furlong is Michael, and he's an introverted horror nerd. That's what he is.
Much like the character Ragman in Trick or Treat on some level.
I was just about to talk about Ragman.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that kind of thing where like he's the outcast, nerdy kid, heavy metal head, horror guy that nobody likes, I guess, but he still is friends with people.
He's got one friend, Joe.
He's friends with Kyle, but he has this kid Kyle, but he also has like a horror movie group that he watches movies with. Yeah. But we open up with him like having this dream of this car crash that he has. And that kind of sets up his trauma for the movie, where he was a kid, he gets into a car accident, fucks up his knee like real bad.
Oh my God.
There's some really scary parts where he's like in the hospital as a child and like getting his like knee sewed up and stuff. And it turns out that his mother died in this car accident. And let me tell you something, this really sets the whole tone for the movie, because right out of the gate, not only is it a tragic story, but the way that it's shot and the whole
and edited.
And the whole atmosphere of it, it's really good. It just really hit with me, especially on this viewing.
It instantly kind of like it's kind of disorienting actually, which is the point.
Yeah. There's like a dread hanging over it.
Because it's cut in between these scenes. You see this kind of like gurney shot, this POV shot from a gurney going down a hospital hallway. And like Joe just said, him basically crawling in the rain towards his dead mother with a broken leg, and just it's cut in between that and him walking in a field, and you don't know what's real, what's not. I mean, come to find out it's a dream, but just the way it's put together is very striking.
The way that you kind of tell it's a dream too is like they keep cutting back to him and he's like in his bed sweating and stuff.
Yeah.
But he ends up waking up and we see the whole thing of his room and he's got like this computer, this like high-tech computer with this fucking program called Igor, and it's a guy who talks like this, master. And like it answers his phone calls and shit and like makes calls. It's really cool.
This thing Igor looks like if Michael Berryman and Blossom fell in a fucking toxic vat of waste or some shit, if that made sense. And they fused together. I mean, it's Igor. It's a stereotypical Igor, but I thought of Blossom and Michael Berryman.
Blossom, that's a deep cut, man.
Oh,
that's,
from
the Christmas That Almost Wasn't
Christmas
episode.
That Almost Wasn't.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Hello, master.
Master wants me to make a call for you, sir. Call, wait. So
The
much
hot neighbor's calling. Would you like me to pick up? Nah, leave her on hold, fucker.
It's so, like, the way that this movie, like, portrays all of this stuff, like, it couldn't have possibly known that this shit was going to be like this now. Because, like, when his friend calls, like, the picture shows up on his screen, and it's like, oh, that's like when you get a call from somebody now on your
like
your
Star
iPhone.
Trek, kind of.
Well,
that's
right,
what I think of.
Right, but it's more akin to what it actually is now.
Yeah,
it's just on a bigger screen. It's not like a sci-fi thing. It's just like, oh, this is normal in his room.
That is true, but 1994... And also, like, why does this kid have a fucking AI? This Igor is a fucking AI that he's talking to? It's like Jarvis, for God's sake. Where's his Iron Man costume? This thing is, like, having full-blown I mean, they're not long conversations, but he's literally talking to this thing back and forth.
Well, it's like easy commands.
That's still 94. It's impressive.
They're pre-programmed, but, like...
I guess he got that tech from the Terminator.
Oh, maybe.
After he melted down, he left him a care package.
He left him that other chip, right? The burnt chip? Yeah.
USB drive, yeah. John Connor, you're going to need this.
I gave this to you as Igor. He's going to help you.
That's his brain in there. I am honored. I am the T800. It's a horrible Arnold impression.
Oh, hello, master.
I changed his voice. I don't want to get sued. I used to sound like I was from Austria. Now I sound like Peter Lorre with a cold.
You fucking sound like Marv after a tool chest fell down the stairs is what that sounded like.
He totally did. I wasn't even trying. Oh my god! But anyway, he has this fucking AI that he's talking to.
But it's very simplistic. It's not like fucking doing his math homework or some shit.
Not yet. Not yet.
You know, it's not building an Iron Man suit like you're saying.
No.
But anyway, his room, right? It's one of those kids' rooms that you wish you fucking had when you were a kid.
Oh yeah, like a Hey Arnold situation.
It's like a Hey Arnold thing, and I mentioned on the Trick or Treat episode, which is actually kind of fun. There's a lot of Trick or Treat coming. Yeah. Stay tuned. But like, you know, it looks like Ragman's
room,
room,
a little bit, yeah.
Which I really like because it's like the attic thing, and he's got these big windows, and he's got this big he's got a widescreen tube television.
He's also just got like a thing from like Empire Strikes Back in his room. This fucking like tube with water and bubbles. Like what? That's not a bong. What is that?
Did I know you yet when I made? No, I didn't know you yet.
I don't know.
So I had.
It's been a long time, Joe, but maybe not that long.
I want to digress into some teenage shenanigans.
Okay.
I had a tube like that. It was a stand-up.
What is that?
It's like a water. It's like just like a ambient light thing.
Okay.
And it was a tube. It was about this. It was like 4 feet. And you turned it on, and there was like bubbles in it and lights that change, right? And it's like I don't know, it's like Eye of the Storm or some other kitschy bullshit, like a lava lamp or something.
Okay, got you.
So, it broke, and I just had this fucking big 4-foot plastic thing. So, what do you do when you're fucking 16 years old? You make it into a bong.
Oh man, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole time you're telling the story.
I made this bong.
I would have done that at 35 or however old I am. 36.
I made this bong out of this 4-foot plastic tube, and I drilled a hole in it, stuck a bowl piece. No, I drilled a hole in it, stuck a piece of pipe in it, and then I had a bowl piece from another bong that was the bowl piece part, right? So I plumber's puttied the whole fucking thing on there, the pipe. And then what you'd have to do, because the pipe was so big, you'd have to put your mouth in it like this to create the suction, right?
Yeah.
So when you hit, so somebody's got to light it for you,
right?
And you literally have to let all the air out of your body and then go to milk it,
right? Yeah, hold it in for 4 seconds.
Yeah, and then you pull the fucking slide out, and then you took this monster 4-foot rip. I brought it to a party one night. It was great.
Oh my God, you were the hero that night. You got laid that night for sure.
No, but I got really drunk. I punched a
Okay.
fucking hole in a drop ceiling in somebody's basement that I didn't know.
That poor bastard.
Playing flip cup. Anyway, yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny.
That's incredible. I wish I had one of those at, again, my current age, 16. Who gives a fuck?
Well, Christmas is coming, Sean. In about six months. Well, then I have plenty.
Depends on when you're watching this, I
have plenty
guess.
of time to go shopping for you. Then I'll just make one for you.
So John Connor, he gets a call from his buddy Kyle, this fucking Buckus knockoff, like from Terminator 2, and he's like, "Hey man, you hear about this game? I read about it in Fango. Brainscan."
Dude, man, it's gonna blow your mind. It's like the scariest thing you've ever seen, dude.
He goes, "Listen to this. Choose from chainsaw dismemberment, nightmare 8, whatever that means. Da da da. Satisfy your sickest desires."
Yeah.
Fantasies.
He's like,
whatever.
He's like, it's interactive, dude. Like you're in the game, and that sounds kind of cool. It's like some kind of VR trip kind of thing.
He's just going off the magazine, and he's talking to him like he's been playing this for weeks.
I like that though.
It's realistic.
It
on
feels
some
real
level.
to me, especially like I
Back
can
in the day, we would have
relate
those.
to that.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, you read Fangoria or Famous Monsters of Filmland or something, or SFX or something, and they have like ads for games or like movies or masks, like the Don Post mask you can buy and shit like that. So it's kind of fun that they incorporated that.
Well,
So that was
especially
kinda neat.
back then in '94. I mean, even into the 2000s. I don't know if now magazines are as hot. Clearly not as much, but we were buying them a lot as teenagers.
I mean, I was buying Fangoria every month when it came out.
Video game magazines.
Yeah.
That was my poison.
Game Pro too when I was younger.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's where you got all the information. Like, if you really wanted to hunt for it, or you knew what the fuck you were doing. But I didn't, so I grabbed the magazines.
Yeah.
Just like you just said, just like this kid's doing. So how else would you know about
What
it?
was that other one? Electronic Gaming Monthly? Did you have that one too?
There's a bunch,
I remember that
man. Just
one.
like the horror magazines.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a bunch.
Oh, totally, yeah. Even like Gore Zone and shit like that, which was a spin-off of Fangoria, but there's one point where they show like the issue of Fangoria with like the sleepwalkers on the cover. I have that issue. I have like most of the issues that you see in the movie, but they're like put away, so I didn't grab them for the episode. But anyway, so Mike hangs up with Kyle and he's oogling his fucking next door neighbor through the window. This girl Kimberly.
This is just not okay. And like, this instantly sets this character up to be hated.
So
why am I rooting for this guy at all?
Well, here's the weird thing. We find out that she's looking at him too a little bit later, but like she knows he's looking at her. She knows
she's turned on by it.
She knows that he's fucking recording her. Taking her bra
Does she know
off.
that much?
Yeah, she keeps. You see her looking at the
she does
camera
look.
multiple times. She's exactly in the same spot where she wants to be. Because if you look on, because he goes
Every shot,
because he records his shit, then he goes back to the TV and then plays her back, and he's like playing back her on the fucking television. Now I know
jacking off to her tits.
Now I know it's that thing of like the awkward shut-in kid.
That's an extreme example, though.
I mean, it's the 90s, dude.
No, it is.
You know, it was that awkward shut-in kid who was kind of in love with this girl or kind of like obsessed with her or whatever, which is really creepy in retrospect, but like he's fucking recording her, like taking her clothes off. Like, you can't do. He's like Frankenstein shooting Pat's sister in the window.
Yeah, literally.
Or that kid from fucking Step Monster taking pictures of Amy Dolan's.
Oh my God.
So Kyle calls him back and interrupts his fucking Spanktravision. And he's like, hey, dude, you look at that Kimberly again, man? And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, dude, I know you are, man. Dude, can you see your tits, bro?
He can.
Yeah, he can. We all
can,
do. We
yeah.
all see them. And he's like, all right, well, anyway, I'll talk to you later. Buddies forever, right, man?
Well, that's going to come up again later, Joe.
Buddies forever, dude.
Buddies forever.
In addition to not only, like, recording her, he records her and then calls her. And he's watching the live...
With the AI by, like, Igor, call Kimberly.
And he's like, Igor, call Kimberly. And...
Yeah.
Yes, master. And he's watching the live feed on the tube TV of her in her room. He's calling her. She goes to pick it up, and right before she goes to pick it up, he's like goodbye or whatever, and that's like the cue for Igor to hang up the phone. And then he watches her pick it up, and she picks it up, and she's like, hello, and nobody's there. And then she like looks directly in the fucking camera at him.
Right, yeah. This is sadistic. This is like fucking...
Voyeuristic. That's what it is.
It is. They're both voyeuristic.
Yeah. I mean, it's two teenage kids that are kind of in love in this weird way, but it's just the way
they're just camera videoing each other and like, I'm in the bushes.
But here's the really crazy part. It's like I feel like that's how a lot of people interact now. Like teenagers now.
In some ways, I could see what you mean.
Like they're looking at pictures and videos of each other. I mean, maybe not through their bedroom windows, but do you see what I'm saying?
Maybe some are, but yeah.
But in this weird roundabout way, through the tech, they're
get it through Snapchat.
Right. They're going through technology to kind of interact with each other. Does that make sense?
I mean, I'm on the internet pretty much 24/7, so I am one of the. I mean, I'm not on Snapchat, but I am one of those people, so I know what you mean.
But instead of just going to talk to her, she's right fucking next door. You can go fucking finger bang her while her parents leave if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, that's also... They kind of put that out there for the audience to pick up on because there's a bunch of scenes throughout the film where she's putting it out there, dropping hints, and he, like, is picking them up, but, like, doing nothing with them, like, almost self-sabotaging it. And I mean, sometimes he actually has a point to why he's doing what he's doing, but other times I'm just like, bro, get up off your fucking... Like, patting heavyweights with Julie.
Yes.
Hang out with Julie.
Different kind of trauma.
Right. Have the fucking hamburgers and marshmallows tomorrow. Tonight, get laid. Like, this girl's, like, knocking on your fucking bedroom door, and you're like, come back tomorrow. Oh, I just came with my pants like Jim from...
American Pie.
Yeah, that movie. Yeah, I was about to call it Apple Pie. It's not... He fucks an apple pie. It's not called Apple Pie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this weird thing, and I guess just kind of to send home that message to the audience that he's awkward. He doesn't know how to handle these situations. I guess.
No, that's absolutely what it is. Okay. I mean, it's much more. It's much more on a sophisticated psychological level. I mean, we're poking fun at it. We're poking
a little bit,
holes in it, which is what the show is kind of. But like in all seriousness, like I mean,
they want to show he's depressed too because his mom's dead. His dad's never home. He's
dealing with
working.
He's dealing with the trauma. Dad's never home. He's always like, "Oh, I love you, kiddo. Gonna be away for fucking 3 weeks at a time. Here's a bunch of money or something."
He's got teachers and shit at school telling him, "You're a sicko.
You're a sicko," and like you're
a loser.
That really resonated with me too because like that was me as a kid. Like I was the horror fucking nerd. I was the nerdy kid. I liked my horror movies and my sci-fi shit and all that stuff, especially in like grammar school. And people thought I was a fucking weirdo, and like because I was writing like horror stories and stuff, and I didn't think it was weird because I'm like, well, I like Goosebumps books. I read fucking every single one of them, and I used to write my own stories and stuff. And I was also like a daydreamer and shit. And I didn't do great in regular school because that wasn't me. I'm a creative person. That's just the way it is. But like, people judging you just because you like that stuff, like you're some kind of fucking nutcase or something.
Outcasting you.
Yeah, and it's like I understand the difference between fake and real, reality and fantasy. It's like you know what I mean? And they think you're gonna kill somebody or something,
Which this movie leans into, and I'm not really sure what the point they're trying to make because they're both poking fun at it, but then they also kind of like make it a big message at the end, I think, unless I just misunderstood what happened there.
I mean, it's there, but it almost undoes itself. We'll talk about it at the end. Yes. I mean, it's there for a majority of the film, and I think it's pretty powerful, but towards the end, it's not reneged. It's not reneged, but it's also like,
yes.
We'll talk about it. So yeah, he takes the news that Kyle gave him from the Fangoria about Brainscan, so he calls the number. Now this kid is into video games. This is what he does with most of his time.
Right.
Because he's alone most of the time. He listens to his music, he watches his horror movies, and he plays video games. And he's played everything. And he's like, all right,
nothing scares him.
I played them all. This isn't scary. This other game was supposed to be this crazy scary game, but it was bullshit and it sucked. Fine, whatever. I'll give Brainscan a try. So he calls the number for Brainscan. And he's like, oh, I read your ad in Fangoria. And he's like, oh, yeah, send me the game or whatever. And the voice on the line's like, oh, this is more than just a game, Michael. And you're going to, it puts this person right in the middle of the action and all this shit. It interfaces with your subconscious, he says. And no sooner does the voice say that, he's like, Edward Furlong's like hit with a beam of light.
It's like Vigo.
And it like...
with Yano's shit.
Command me, Lord!
Because it's like the fucking head.
Yeah, kind of.
With the lights coming out of the eyes.
Well, not yet, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he basically gets Brainscan TM'd because they're like, oh, okay, yep, you're a great candidate. We're going to send you the disc tomorrow. Bye. And they just fucking hangs up.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that is a little bit after.
And he's like, what the fuck? And he calls the number back and it's like busy. And then like later, like, it's a non-working number and shit. And it's like a whole thing. So it's like, yep, it's coming in the mail tomorrow. Enjoy the ride.
He doesn't know that yet because he didn't confirm it, but they're sending it.
Yeah.
So we head to school and, Edward Furlong's there at the horror club, and it's got about like 10 or 12 students there with them, and they're watching some fucking schlocky horror movie,
Which is
movie.
so cool, man. I wish like I did that in school.
It's kind of cool.
I didn't like being at school, so I didn't really think about.
I tried the chess club and the anime club a couple times, but then I think I got self-conscious about it, like a weirdo. Like, I'm gonna look like a nerd. Now it's like, who gives a fuck? But in high school, I don't know. I had those thoughts.
Yeah.
But
we all do.
Yeah, I guess so. But the principal comes in, this like stuffy-looking bastard. Out of the 50s or something.
Dr. Fromberg.
Dr. Fromberg. Yeah, he is a Fromberg, all right. What is this filth? Edward Furlong, come with me.
It kind of reminded me of Monster Squad. Where he's
a little bit.
Boys, monsters are not real. Science is cool, man. I dig it.
Yeah, a little bit. But this guy's definitely way more of an asshole because he's like, yeah. What do you do with these horror movies? You're going to kill somebody? It's just like porno? You're going to rape someone? It's like,
man.
What are we doing?
This is what I'm talking about. And it was like, oh, you like this horror shit? He's like, what, are you going to fucking, kill someone? He's he's like, or is it like smoking a marijuana cigarette? Or maybe it's like watching porno and you get an erection and you go rape someone.
And
Edward Furlong's like, I don't think erections rape people, dude. People rape people that are fucked up.
He doesn't want to hear that.
No, and he's like, no more horror club, fuck you.
Oh, we just throw out the caveat, though, that if you want this club to continue, I need to review every piece of material, every video game, every movie, every book. You hear that, mister? All right.
Okay, sir. So, horror club is canceled, man.
For now.
Yeah.
Edward Furlong doesn't explain this to the other students. They just are like, oh, what an asshole. He canceled the club. Kyle's like, what's going on with Horror Club? The fuck? Like the whole movie. What's going on with that?
Put the kibosh on it, dude. He starts a petition later to like get it going again.
He does, actually. He has his fucking manifesto.
Yeah. So Eddie's on the on his little Vespa or whatever, listening to Guns N' Roses. No, that's not what happened.
So he's got one of those damn things, little motorbike.
Yeah. So he pulls up, and there's like a dead body in the middle of the road. There's like a car crash, and it like triggers him, and he has like this flashback to him and his mom and stuff. And this is where we first get introduced to Frank Langella, man, Skeletor himself.
Is that who this is?
That's Skeletor, dude.
From Masters of the Universe?
The Dolph Lundgren one, yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen that movie, but I'm very familiar with it.
You've never seen Masters? Well, we got to
I'm not a big He-Man guy.
Dude, yeah, but we got to do it on the show, man.
That's what I've heard.
It is like pure 80s action garbage bullshit. It's great. It's fucking great. It's canon.
I guess, I mean, when I say that's what I heard is that it's one of those, I guess I should say.
It's such a fun time. And the special effects are great.
But that's what he's known for, okay.
Well, yeah, but he also voiced your favorite Gorgonite.
Which is? I don't remember.
Archer.
Oh, Archer, yeah, he is. I think I've actually said that before. Yeah, you're right. He is my favorite.
From Small Soldiers.
Yeah, he's the best, the leader of the Gorgonites.
He also played Dracula in 79. He was Dracula's 79, yep.
Yeah, he's Detective Hayden in this. I want to call him a pain in the ass, but he's literally just doing his fucking job. You can't even really get mad at this guy. He's actually pretty good at his job, too. He's not one of these incompetent cops that you get in a lot of horror films. This guy's actually figuring shit out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just kind of letting things ride out until he needs to make his move. But you're right, this is his first little introduction to the audience.
And this is what I was saying before. It's more like a psychological kind of crime thriller.
A little bit, yeah.
More so than, and I think that's the original idea behind it. And that's like what the director wanted to make. And the studio was like, put that fucking trickster in there, baby.
There's definitely a movie that comes to mind that we've actually covered on this show, but I'll hold that thought till we get to the end of the film.
It works, though.
Yes.
It 100% works.
So Edward Furlong is like talking to this cop because of this death, this car accident. Yeah. And the cop's like, yeah, did you know these people? No? Well, then move along. Like, there's already some instant tension just from Eddie just being there.
Yeah, like, get out of here, kid.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here. Go home, do your homework or some shit.
He tells him that. Like he's a truant officer. But yeah, then Michael, I should call him, goes home. And he finds the disc in the mail. The package has arrived.
I love it, too. We got to make like a prop of this, dude.
It's
like,
just brain
it's
scan.
Just stabbed to the brain scan and then like do the series of discs. That would be really fun.
1 through 4.
Yeah.
You do one series of that, you get the Mo discs as a special edition.
Yes,
it's gotta be the same shit, right?
I mean, well,
one's red, one's not.
One's a floppy and one's a CD-ROM, which is floppy is just a CD-ROM inside of,
Well, I'll just mention this now because I'm not going to remember this later. He fucking puts a CD in at one point and pulls a fucking floppy disk out at the end. So unless I just missed something there, in the edit, figure out if I'm wrong about that or not.
It's a disc drive. I mean, it's like a fucking disc that he
throws
puts
a
in.
floppy at the end and is like, get this the fuck out of here.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, anyway.
It might be in another tray that gets inserted into something else.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know, he gets home from school and he's listening to the messages on the machine, and his dad, dad didn't even like say goodbye to him. He like leaves him a message. He's like, sorry, kiddo. I'm making some news. Well, I think this is where we get that kind of like drop of like how he has all this technology and stuff, because like his dad's like a big, I don't know what,
like
engineer,
maybe?
No, engineer or something. I mean, he has to go do something. I can't quite remember, but there's an inkling there. But he's basically like, I got to go away for work for 3 days or 3 weeks. Like, love you or whatever. Bye. And it's that thing where like dad's kind of distant from his son because of the mother dying. And, you know, almost it's not, I'm kind of pulling this out of this scene, but like it almost feels like, you know, he's distant from his dad's distant from him. He says he loves him, but it's also like, since mom's gone, there's definitely a huge rift between the both of them. And, you know, he's a shut-in. And dad kind of like throws money at him to kind of keep him happy, quote unquote, but also to kind of put him off. And like he buries himself in his work to kind of forget about it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most we get about dad. So that is the only thing you can really pull out of it. But yeah, that's like kind of what I was saying earlier.
It's inferred there.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Like he's a problem child because he's left to his own devices. He's depressed. He's bored.
He's not a problem child. He's just a weirdo. Like he's a quote unquote weirdo. Like he's not like hurting anybody. Or doing anything.
I mean, I guess when you say problem child, you think of Junior. You know, but
he's not bullying people. He's not pranking people. He's not trying to hurt people. He's not trying to do any of that.
That's true.
He's just
they see him as a problem child.
Well, they see him as a fucking
because he's weird.
Well, they see him as a weirdo and a freak, and again, ragman. You know
exactly.
So he's up in his room, and after that, he like makes himself some food, and then he sees Kim's having a party. And she didn't invite him yet, which is strange, especially if she likes him.
She did try calling him earlier.
Well,
or I guess he called her, excuse me.
Well, no, she tries calling him right now.
Yes.
And she's like,
he's like, Igor, no calls.
He's like, hold all the calls. I'm playing fucking Brainscan. And she's about to call him to come over.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, it's that thing where he's like longingly looking out the window at these kids and like being like, I wish I was there, like hanging out with them, but like, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stay in my room.
It's like his leg's broken or something. Just fucking go out there.
No, I mean, that's
I've been there myself.
That's the catharsis of the movie, Sean.
I know. Well, literally.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because she tries to call him. He doesn't get the call because, again, idiot. But he's getting locked in. He puts his fucking disc in.
He's ready to rock and roll, dude.
Gets his gaming chair. And I guess I kind of spoiled it a little already by talking about Vigo, but this fucking brain scan thing shoots forward with this Tony Perkins' head.
1-800-555-FEAR, man. We're doing it.
Yeah, I swear to God, I mentioned it earlier, but before this thing pops out of the screen a little bit later, before you really see the...
We're going to get there. Don't jump the shark.
I'm not trying to, but before you get the full effect of what this thing looks like, the picture on the TV, I'm getting full Tony Perkins from Heavyweights.
Dude.
Before we go into the physical game itself.
That stay tuned, because that's going to be a fucking MD shirt, brother, and a sticker. Yeah, man.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, it looks really cool, and I don't think I've seen that one done yet. Somebody's probably done it already, but I don't give a fuck. It's a cool little thing.
Yes, but he gets a little timer pops up saying, well, if you don't complete this in 60 minutes, well, it's not a good thing. Just do it.
Well, he gets a preface of what the game is.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the instructions.
It's almost like a hypnosis that he goes under when you were saying when the face comes up with the eyes and stuff.
Yes.
And it's telling him like, you know, you're going to be watching a murderer through his eyes, and your decisions reflect on what happens and shit. And you have to stalk and kill within the time limit, because if you don't complete this task, you can't play the next disc, and it will also be very dangerous to you.
Right. I guess they do try to kind of play it off a little bit more at first. Like, oh, yeah, it'll be bad, but don't worry about it. Just do it.
Well, if you do it, you can't stop playing, basically. You have to finish. It's like Jumanji, right?
Exactly.
You play the game and it'll all go away. You got to finish the game and it'll all go away.
Otherwise, Alan Partridge is going to be stuck in that fucking jungle for life.
He's about to get murdered.
Yeah, he's got to get those shoes. He's got to fix what's his face's job.
David Allen Greener's sneakers.
Exactly. Yeah. He's got to get Blank Man on the market.
Oh shit, man.
That happens further down the line, but eventually.
And it's just creepy because it's like, you know, think like a killer, leave no witnesses, cover up the evidence.
Like VO, yeah.
And enjoy the fear. You know, it's talking to him over the telephone. And when you put the disc in over the telephone, it kind of triggers the game.
Yeah,
which
like
is kind of weird. It's like connected almost. Yeah, it's almost like
That's why I think he's going through those wormholes. It makes me think like Reboot or Lawnmower Man or some shit.
Well, it's kind of akin to being like the game Nightmare, where you put the VHS in and you kind of play the board game with the tape.
Yeah.
Kind of. It kind of feels like that, you know.
I think the movie actually kind of answers this question towards the end, but until then, it's just this weird thing where he's playing this game.
Let's party, baby. Here we go.
Let's party. And we cut to this like very like classic slasher killer kind of POV shot.
It's really cool.
Makes me think of Michael Myers instantly or Jason walking in this back alley. And like Joe was just saying, he has this just like the intro to the game, this thing's talking to him as he's walking.
It's like the gate. And he's like, make a right.
Yeah.
And like he comes into the kitchen and there's like shit hanging and there's like a knife and a spatula. And he's like,
pick one.
Pick one. It's really creepy.
I always had, maybe I'll just talk about this now because I'm never going to do it at this point, but I've talked to Joe about this idea of like not a flash game, but you could do like a YouTube series of videos where you have a similar concept like this.
Like Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah, Choose Your Own Adventure.
Oh, I think we did talk about that. We could do it. It's a lot.
It would be so involved.
It's a lot.
But the concept was not this in particular, but the opposite. Like you're the survivor and something's coming after you and you got to, in a set amount of time, you only have 8 seconds to respond or whatever it may be to like, click this or this. And depending on what you hit, you have a different, like a Choose Your Own Adventure kind of thing. I always thought
there's a finite amount, but yeah.
Anyway,
it is a cool thing.
Made me think of that.
Maybe when
instantly.
we're finally rich, or when we have more time to ourselves, we're working for ourselves.
We'll make our own brain scan. Yeah. Brain scan 2.
Oh man, sign me up! I'll make fucking brain scan 2 in a heartbeat.
Me too. But he grabs his big ass cutting knife and he walks up the steps. And this poor bastard's laying on his bed, sleeping.
Dude.
Not a care in the world. Sleeping like a baby.
It's creepy because you see the knife come in and he's looking around the room like not sure what to do. It's all POV for this one. So he's like not sure what to do, and Trickster's talking to him and he's like, well, you don't know who Trickster is yet. You just hear the voice talking to him. And he's like, do it, stab him. And he's like got the knife by his eye, and you're like, oh my God, he's gonna fucking stab in this guy's eye.
Creepy.
But he scares him and he rolls over and he stabs the shit out of this guy in his back. And he like gets up and he fucking puts his bloody hand on the wall. It's a pretty cool kill scene, man. He like rips down the blinds and he's like falling into shit, falling over shit.
He's fucking stumbling all over
it's
like
great.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Kenneth Branagh when he's falling all over with Robert De Niro and that slime.
He was a slipping in a sliding.
Yeah, that's basically what's happening.
Yeah.
This guy hits the ground and it's like, all right, better make sure he's dead. And he's like, he's dead. Motherfucker sits up like Undertaker.
Well, he's like kicking him and he's sawing off his fucking foot to like take a trophy, and that's when he sits up and he just like punches him in the face. But he cuts this guy's fucking foot off, and the voice is like, "Yeah, put that somewhere safe now." And then he fucking shoots up, and
covered
he's like freaking out, and he's covered in sweat. He's got his fucking chicken nuggies and his milk next to him, and he's like, "That was a trip." And he like takes the milk, and it's disgusting. He fucking dude. I don't know, man. I don't drink milk like that. Especially
nobody does.
Especially not with because that was like a thing when we were kids to drink milk. But like this motherfucker chugs a whole glass of milk. It's all over his fucking face. And like the idea of like milk being on your face and just like drying in the smell, it's gross. It just made me kind of like, it's gross.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot of milk. Less so now.
Yeah,
I do more almond milk. I don't drink it straight.
No, sure.
But I've drinking that much milk many times in the past, but
but like the idea of dairy being all over your face
is disgusting,
and the smell is gross to me.
Yes, ice cream. It happens to me often.
Yeah, it's gross. No offense.
I'm not offended by it. Fuck you, ice cream. I'm pointing at the ice cream off
I mean, like
screen.
when it's like out and it stays. Like if it's on your clothes and shit, you don't
want a milk mustache. You don't want to be one of those guys.
You smell that funk of 40,000 years up on that upper lip. Even with this fucking flavor saver, you can't fuck with that.
Oh God,
no, you don't want to mess. He also
he doesn't have any Oreos. He's got all that milk and no Oreos.
No, he's got a mouthful of fucking shitty chicken nugget, like Kid Cuisine chicken nuggets and milk
that he microed.
So he's like tripping. He's like, that was a fucking rush, man.
It's like he just
was sick,
blown.
So the next day he's telling Kyle, he's like, oh man, he was so sick. Like there was all this blood and stuff. I don't really remember exactly what happened, but I like went around and killed this dude. And he's like, dude, you gotta let me play Brainscan, man. Give me the disc. He's like, not yet. Like, I gotta keep playing it, man. To make sure everything's good.
It's like Bilbo with that ring trying to give it to Frodo. Maybe later.
Kind of. And it's like he wants to experience it for himself, I guess. But like, if Kyle gets the game, it breaks the movie.
True.
So yeah.
Well, come to find out, oh, by the way, this guy got murdered. The first murder in their town in 100 years or something.
Yeah, but buddies forever, and Kyle fucks off, and then Mike goes to Kim's house to talk to her.
Kind of like, oh, I should have gone to that party, but I didn't, so I'm going to kind of make up for it.
He's trying to get the balls up to talk to her. So he goes in and he sees her parents sitting there, and he wants to talk to Kim.
Then the TV comes on.
Fucking mom turns it on, yeah.
And the news report, because it's a movie, of course, is naturally going right to that. Today's biggest news in Mountain View: murder, murder, murder.
The man's fucking foot was cut off and stabbed to death in his house. And like you see the handprint on the wall that you saw from the POV, and he starts seeing all the things that he saw, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, you get one of those zoom ins on Edward Furlong, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go. I'll see you later." And he runs home, and he's like flipping out, and he checks his refrigerator, and he's like, No, there's no way. There's no fucking way. And he opens it and he's like, oh my God, there's a frozen fucking foot.
There's a foot in there. Well, he said put it in a safe place. Yes. But like, the freezer is a safe place? I guess if you want to keep it fresh.
I guess when you're in a fever dream and you don't know what's happening, I guess that was the best they could think of.
So he freaks out and he goes to the crime scene.
As all murderers do.
Well, he goes to the crime scene first, then he finds the foot. He finally puts it all together. But he goes to the crime scene to affirm the fact that, like, this is what I saw in my dream, like the fence and the bike and all the shit.
Oh, yeah.
And he sees Frank Langella again, and Frank Langella's like, hey, kid, the fuck you doing? He's like, you can't just walk behind a police line. He's like, didn't I see you yesterday? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, speaking of when he walked behind that police line, I'm sitting there like, no one's calling him on that. And of course, Hayden's the one that sees him the second time in a row.
So Brainscan calls him again. He's back in his house after he finds the foot, and he's freaking out. The Brainscan calls him.
Yes.
And the TV starts talking, and the thing is on the TV, and you see the face.
Because this is after he tries to call them, and he finds out that the number doesn't exist. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Then this is when we get introduced to Trickster, played by T. Ryder Smith. This guy's fucking awesome. I think this is his first movie. But
knocked it out of the park.
We mentioned Sammy Kerr before. This is some Sammy Kerr shit where he puts his face out of the fucking TV and like comes out. It's so cool, man. And you finally see Trickster in all of his glory, and he is like Rumpelstiltskin mixed with Tony Perkis smashed together by way of Sammy Kerr.
I already got it figured out, but that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
This is Tony Perkis after he took a little hit of Joker gas.
Love that Joker.
Yeah, specifically from the Arkham video game series,
the Titan
Joker gas. Yeah. He didn't get bulky; he just got slim like a string bean. Yeah. Didn't turn green, turned fucking red hair,
dude,
or something.
If you put him on the back of Rumpelstiltskin's motorcycle. Right?
They'd both be hanging out,
They'd be hanging out, dude, with their sunglasses on, smoking fucking cigars. I could see it.
It's a funny visual, actually. Rumps got on the motorcycle. This guy's on the hatchback or whatever they call it, the sidecar.
Oh, the sidecar. Yeah, the sidecar.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I could see that, yeah.
But he comes out like Freddy Krueger or some shit, or like the T-1000, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And actually, there's kind of cool effect. One of I think the cooler digital effects in this film.
Play my video game. That's what you know.
Well, that's cool too. But when he first kind of
like
forms,
Sammy Kerr,
and his clothes kind of the way they form onto his body, I really like how they did that.
It's cool. What's funny about that is when Steve Johnson and Andy Schoenberg were designing the character, they took a lot of influence from Keith Richards. And when you say that, all of a sudden you can see it, like the eyeliner and like the kind of the tiger print, like velvet shirt and like the leather and stuff. He's like a rocker.
He's flamboyant.
He's like a metal guy, kind of.
He's bopping around and shit. He's like criticizing what's his face's music, Edward Furlong's music. You got nothing good here. Put this on. He's like jamming out.
He fucking pops in Primus.
Yeah,
it's like and it's just like this. It's just a really weird scene because he's like dancing around and shit.
It's weird, all right. And then Edward Furlong like turns it off and it's like, you fucker! You made me kill that guy. And he's like, I didn't make you do anything. You were in complete control.
He's like, you invited me in
like a vampire.
Yeah. Which is kind of creepy because you're not like sure what Trickster is either. By this point yet. Well, not yet.
I don't think I even found out by the end of the film. Clue me in if we get there. But he's an interesting something.
He's like, I was there. I was talking to you the whole time. He's like, don't you remember? And he's like, I was there when you cut off his foot. It was magic. I loved it. And he's like, no, but that was real. I really killed somebody. He's like, real, unreal. What's the difference? And I love like his whole like philosophy on shit and the way that he like tries to convince Edward Furlong that it's not a big deal. What he did.
And he's saying
he's like, as long as you don't get caught, it's not murder. Yeah. It's fine.
but by the way, there's a witness, so you better take care of that.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's a witness? No one saw me. Oh, so you're admitting you did it now. And he's like, well, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, there's like some
he's fucking with him.
Yeah, and there's some really, really good dialogue here.
No, there is.
Where he's talking about like the horror movies that he has. And he's like picking up tapes and he's like this horror movie shit. He's like, it's senseless violence. And he's like it's not about what makes sense, it's about death. And like this is all real and this is the thrill of killing. You know what I mean?
He's like, death, death, death.
And he's like, the best part is it's totally random. There's no motive, so it's even better because you're not going to get caught.
He somehow convinces this kid to fucking go bury the foot in the woods.
Well, this is what he does. So he's like, well, I wouldn't rat on you. Shit, I wouldn't turn you in. I would fry in the chair. And he hits the lamp and he like electrocutes himself.
Oh yeah.
And then he's like, I'd break every finger. So now you have like some Sammy Kerr shit. Here comes the Freddy shit with the fingers. Bends all his fingers down and breaks
Beetlejuice is in there.
Yeah. And he pokes his own fucking eyes out.
Oh, yeah. That was cool.
It's really cool.
But yeah, he buries that fucking foot.
And he's like, you got to play all the discs.
Yes.
All right. And he's like, no, I don't wanna. And then he goes and buries the foot.
And I'm like, now for a while now, which I guess the movie's kind of got me in the hook for this, or at least for the next 15, 20 minutes. It's like, all right, when's this witness going to show up? There's this witness, supposedly. So first he's in the woods burying the foot, and this fucking German Shepherd runs up.
Oh, it's Thor from Bad Moon.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Which we, for some reason, get foreshadowed this German Shepherd in the intro. It's like running in a field for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shows up and instantly grabs his foot out of the fucking, not even foot deep hole he dug. I don't know who
he grabs it out of the bag. He like has it in a bag.
You're right. And he runs off, or it runs off, I should say. And the chase is on, Joe.
Uncle Ted was out there somewhere, like fucking chained to a tree. He's becoming a werewolf. Yeah. I like people can't see in bushes in this movie. Right?
This guy's got assassin green powers.
He's like, because Furlong like dives behind the bushes, gets the foot back from the dog.
It drops it randomly.
It drops it, and he's like, please drop the thing, and it drops it. So then this guy comes, who's the dog's owner, who's got it off the leash for some reason.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah. Probably Dennis the Menace's dad, right? Before he left or died
or
whatever. Yeah. And Edward Furlong's like in the bushes.
Yeah.
And he's like looking, he's like, what do you see down there, Thor, or whatever? And he's like, come on, get out of there. And he's like, you could see Edward Furlong right in the brush right there.
Unless I missed something. Was that Hayden? Or was that some rando?
Oh, that's just some rando. I'm making a joke from Bad Moon.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that only because that dog shows up again later during a police investigation. So I wonder if that was actually him, but it was kind of hard to tell.
Well, no, the townsfolk get together like volunteers. So I think he was a volunteer with his dog.
From being in the town. Okay, that makes more sense. But you're right. These bushes are protecting this motherfucker. They cannot see him laying down.
It's like this part, and then like later there's like a cop looking with a flashlight. I'm like, how the fuck did you not see him laying down there?
And he's not like wearing like colors that match his environment at all.
I guess that's the whole point. Well, when we get to the end, we can talk about it. But so he freaks out. He runs home. He buries the foot. He runs home. He burns all the clothes that he had
doesn't
on.
bury the foot. He brings it home with him and throws it in the fucking fireplace.
No. I think he buries the foot and he burns his clothes.
I thought he burned the foot.
Mm-mm.
Because I'm like, that is going to smell. But I guess because no one comments on the burning flesh. I guess you're right.
No, he finishes burying the foot, goes home, burns his clothes that he was wearing that night where he, quote unquote, murdered that guy, and just lets it all burn in the fucking fireplace.
Got you. Okay. Right. Because then Kyle rings the doorbell and he's like in the middle of burning it still and is like, yeah, I got mono. Don't come in.
Dude, do you remember when we were kids when like kids would like get mono all the time?
I never got it. But
I never got it myself, but like that was like a thing. And now I never hear about it.
I mean, it's definitely still a thing. I mean, it's like a lifelong thing once you get it.
Really?
Shit, it fucks you up.
It always used to like freak me
out. It's
out.
like an immune system thing, but I think I actually have no idea what I'm talking about.
So I guess more people, I don't know much about it, and I don't know much about the disease. I just remember, or I just remember people having it and being like, "Oh, stay the fuck away from them."
Yeah.
Or like Becky made out with John and gave him mono or some shit, and it's like, "Oh fuck, stay away from them."
I guess younger listeners, let us know if mono's still going around the high schools and middle schools.
I don't know. I guess so.
Or any listeners our age that are still dealing with it.
It just like kind of took, like, it's a very 90s thing is what I'm saying.
Well, because you were a teenager in the 90s.
No, but like when I heard it, I was like, fuck, mono, you know what I mean? It's
you
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, It was very like topical for us growing up as kids.
This movie, believe it or not, Joe, might be nostalgic for people in their mid-30s.
You don't say. There's nothing nostalgic about a disease. I'm recounting a memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to go somewhere with that, and I went right in the toilet.
But you do remember. So
I get what you're saying.
There you go. Yeah. I wanted to bring it up.
Yes.
Because it was like that memory unlocked kind of thing where I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Remember?
Yeah.
So Kyle comes over, or like you said, so he's there and he's like, oh dude, there was a murder in the town, dude. Isn't that awesome? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, that's not cool.
He's like, well, I'm not saying it's cool. It's like
cool.
interesting.
It's interesting. You know what I mean?
And he like basically blows him off, and they have like a falling out.
Well, he tells him to fuck off and like get out of there. He's like, fuck off. You can't play Brainscan. You're never gonna play it. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And I love that because he slams the door in his face, and Kyle's like ringing the doorbell incessantly, and Edward Furlong opens the door and he just like gives him the finger and like walks away, gives him the fucking double barrels.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then Kimberly gets home and he's like, oh, whoa. Slicks back his hair. She rings the doorbell and he opens it and she's like, how you doing? I got your homework. And the cops,
your mail.
Oh, and your mail. And the cops are like patrolling the town. They're like, yeah, they're really hunting for him. And he's like, whoo, it ain't me. Don't worry about it. It ain't me. But that's good. They're looking.
Thanks for my homework and stuff.
And she's like, yeah, I'm not in any of your classes. I don't know why you wanted me specifically to do this.
Well,
but okay.
Well, he's like, she says, oh, you came over to my house. He's like, yeah, I wanted to know about homework. He's like, we don't have any of the same classes. And he's like, yeah, I just want to like say hi or whatever. So now now she's here in his home and he has his chance again and he fucking blows.
Well, this is one of the main scenes I'm talking about where it's like, what are you even doing? Hey, listen, I'm not trying to be the pot calling the kettle black here. Maybe I would have done the same damn thing. But I'm also not dealing with possibly murdering somebody through a video game.
This is also true.
And yeah, he very quickly kind of shoos her away because in the mail is part 2.
The second disc.
Disc 2.
Yeah.
And it freaks him the fuck out.
He's like, okay, get the fuck out now. I gotta go play this disc.
Wow. That's what you think is going to happen, but instead he actually does something kind of smart. He destroys the disc.
Smashes it.
In a fit of rage.
So he goes upstairs, and this time, the fucking phone calls itself. Like, it calls the number itself, and Trickster pops out of the TV again.
Igor's out of a job.
And he's like, where's the disc? You gotta play part 2 now. And he's like, I fucking destroyed it, man. I can't play it now. I can't play it. He's like, what are you talking about? It's right here. And he's like spinning it on his finger like a fucking Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
It's really cool. And he's like, the witness has to die. You gotta play part 2 or you can't finish the game.
Well, then he's like,
are you a winner or a loser?
Yeah, and he's like, well, I'm going to just take that to the cops. We'll see what happens then. And he's like, yeah, all right, you want to do that? You're just going to be incriminating yourself. Whatever.
He's gonna play that fucking footage that Robin Shue has of that guy getting fucking hit.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going to pop that VHS tape and it's going to be him killing that guy.
He's also got a VHS tape of him before he took a hit of that Joker gas where he was harassing a bunch of teenagers at a summer camp.
It's possible.
Yeah.
That was his first job.
That was the last gig, yeah.
Well, we got to set this in the future because it's got to be post dodgeball, right?
I guess that's true. Well, Job got involved from Lawnmower Man.
This is the splintered timeline.
I guess
right after Heavyweights this happens.
Right, okay, so let's just, before we get too removed from this moment, just finish the movie Dumpster Universe thought.
Yeah.
So at the end of Dodgeball, he gets fat. We established that in the Heavyweights episode.
But that's one timeline.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
He gets fat at the end of that movie. Let's just keep it going.
Okay.
Then he gets that call from Job. Job picks up the phone. His cry is every phone in the world ringing or whatever. After we watch, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Every phone in the world
battle
rings.
cry. Yeah.
There you go. He picks up the phone, gets sucked in, gets turned into this motherfucker.
See, well, how about this one instead?
Okay.
He loses Camp Hope, right?
Yes.
He's in his dad's limo, and he ends up going to like a hotel or something, and there's a fucking fire. And he burns down in a hotel fire because he's playing Sammy Kerr's in songs in the key of death.
Yes.
Right? So he dies in a hotel fire just like Sammy Kerr. Then, just before his final breath, the phone's all ring.
Right before his head died.
Right before his head died. He picks up the phone and Job.
I think you've got it. I think you got it, Joe.
It's got to be the split, right? Because one is the full circle heavyweight because he becomes a fat slob at the end of Dodgeball, and this is the one where he becomes a fucking an agent of John Hurt in the cyberverse.
I mean, he could also still be the fat slob at the end of Dodgeball and be in a hotel and it burns down. So it works either way.
Yeah, but how does he become like Finn Keith Richards?
I mean, once you get sucked into the Job realm, and we saw what he looked like when he got sucked in. He did not look like Jeff Daniels any longer.
No,
Jeff different movie. That would be a movie. Imagine if it was Jeff Daniels.
Jeff Daniels as the lawnmower man?
Oh my god.
Oh man, no, Jeff Fahey.
Jeff Fahey.
Yeah.
Oh man. Remake that movie.
Man, you can't mix up Jeff Daniels with Jeff Fahey and that fucking hard body, baby.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how dare I?
Mowing the lawn with his mind.
I kind of want that. Dino, work on a picture.
Jeff Daniels.
Get us that
lawnmower man. So Eddie has a plan. Or Michael, excuse me. Ed Furlong.
Whatever, John Connor
has a plan to record himself, which is actually pretty smart. He's going to record himself playing the game, and his whole thing is like, all right, guys, if I kill somebody, this is the proof, and like I got to figure this out. So he puts
This is what they should have done in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Film me getting killed by Freddy Krueger while you see these slashes appearing on my chest out of nowhere.
I don't think John Saxon's salary would have paid for a video camera that Heather could have set up.
For a pocket cam. A couple hundred, but okay. He's got enough money for bars on the window, though.
Well,
or Mom does.
Well, this is also, you get them free from the precinct, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, John, like Michael in this is also like super rich. He lives on he lives in a giant mansion on a fucking, it looks like a place in Maine or Maryland or something.
It is a big house.
It's fucking beautiful. I wish I lived there. Anyway, it reminds me of the house in
Don't we all?
It reminds me of the house in Practical Magic. Not the same kind of house, but where it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, another dream movie house that I would like to live in. Anyway, so he records himself playing, and it's cool here because you saw that whole POV stuff at first, but now it's cool because he puts it in. He's like, all right, man, here I go. So he fires it up, and there's a big flash, and all of a sudden he's in the chair again.
Right, sweating.
So you miss the whole. We don't know what exactly happened for that whole part. So he wakes up. He's like, oh, what the fuck? He's sweating. He's like, oh my God, I can't remember anything. He goes over to the.
At least he sees the clock, the countdown timer.
Yeah, and he has like 7 minutes left or something like that. So he made it in the amount of time that he needed to. So he goes and watches the tape, and he sees himself like stroke out and then like wake up, like hypnotized, and walk out of the room. And he's like, no, this can't be happening. And I'm like, dude, you knew exactly what it was and affirmed your fears.
He also doesn't like watch the rest of the tape. Well, I get for the sake of the movie needing to move along, that would just be tedious. But he would know exactly what happened if he watched the rest of the tape. But it doesn't take long for him to figure it out because he just says, all right, I know what happened last time. Let me just check the fridge instantly.
Well, if he left and he couldn't remember leaving, then he's not going to remember coming back. So, and it's like the camera's only fixed on the television, so you can't see anything else.
The video games on the TV is, I guess, what I mean
by
that. Oh, yeah. You can
think
see
so? Oh, like what he's seeing?
Yeah, so that's actually evidence if the police ever got their hands on that would instantly incriminate him.
Also true. So like you said, he goes to the freezer and Kyle's necklace is in there, which is like a kunai or something.
Which I missed at first. I was trying to figure out, like, why is this important? I mean, they instantly tell you, so you don't have to wait long if you missed it like me.
It's like Danny Boy's necklace from Predator 2.
A little bit, yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. So he calls Kyle in a panic, like, please pick up Kyle. And, of course, the cops are there like, what do you mean?
This is great because Frank Langella picks up the phone and he doesn't say anything at first. And he's like,
Genius.
come on. He's like, come on, Kyle. He's like, pick up the phone. And he's like, who is this? And he ends up getting scared to hang up the phone. But in the background, the fucking room is trash. There's blood all over the place. And it's like, fuck, dude, he killed his best friend. He was the witness. And like the way, so Trickster comes back.
The way he explains this is like, all right, well, I don't know how Edward Furlong thought anything other than you being a trickster was going to be how this went. But all right, lay it on us there, Tricky.
Well, Trickster comes back. He's like, well, you killed the witness. And he's like, what are you talking about? He didn't see anything. He's like, but he knew something. Possibly he could have been a loose end. And he's like, you motherfucker, you tricked me into killing. Well, that's what he does.
His whole logic is because he knows about brain scans, so he could have connected the two, even though you would never make that correlation.
He's like, he knew things, but he wasn't necessarily a witness. But he could have been or something. He's like, where did you come from? And he's like, you chose me, Michael, which is a creepy thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, you left a clue behind in the second disc. And he's like, what do you mean I left a clue behind the second disc? He's like, you got to play the second disc. And he's like, no, I'm not doing it anymore.
Third disc now.
Or the third disc.
Yeah.
Right. I can't play the next one. He's like, I'm not doing it. I just killed my best friend, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, you killed your best friend, but like, do you feel bad? And he's like, you're sad, but like, do you really care that you did? And he's like, nobody knows that you did it. He's like, these feelings are deep inside of you because they're deep inside of everyone, I guess, like animalistic killing people and shit. And he's basically trying to convince Michael that like, it's fine, don't worry about it. Wasn't it great? But what about that rush when you killed your friend?
Yeah, but then he also like, as soon as Michael is kind of giving him some pushback, like, Trickster's like, all right, well, he kind of stabs him and is like, yeah, remember when your mom fucking died? That was your fault.
Oh, man.
And is like just like needling him literally and figuratively.
Dude.
You know, pushing on that PTSD.
So they're going back and forth, and, you know, he doesn't want to play the third disc. So he's going back and forth with Trickster. The doorbell rings, and he's like, don't answer the door. He's like, you're going to fuck it all up. Don't answer the door. He's like, okay, see you later. Edward Furlong goes down, and it's Frank Langella. And he comes in with the other cop that was at, Kyle's house.
Yeah.
That's been the other detective, rather.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever gets a name, the deputy detective or what have you. I don't know what they're called. But he's like, something about your voice just sounds so familiar.
He's like, you sure you didn't call Kyle's house? He's like, no, it wasn't me. And he's like, okay, kiddo. I'll find out if it was you. Goodbye.
And again, I kind of love this because this cop's outside like, the other guy's like, yeah, I don't know. Seems clean. He's like, yeah, I don't know. There was some ashes in the fireplace. It's the middle of June. Yeah. It's fucking hot out. Yeah. That seems fishy. The other cop's like, maybe.
I guess you're right. And then, well, just by the way, later we could talk about it now because it doesn't connect to anything. But like Frank Langella like goes into his house without a warrant and just takes ashes from the fucking fireplace. It's like, okay, you can't just do that.
Well, they forgot they needed that, so they just said, we need this quick B-roll scene. Just get in and out quickly.
Well, that evidence would never hold up in court because of that.
No.
So Edward Furlong goes back upstairs, and there's shit all over the place. It looks like Alf went to town in the Tanner's kitchen, dude. There's just shit all over the floor.
Kazam's back.
Yeah.
Summoning that fast food.
And Trickster's in his bed, like, eating a raw chicken and, like, putting mustard and relish on bananas and, eating it.
It's got Twinkies on pizza.
It's fun. Oh, dude, you never put Twinkies on pizza, man.
Salami Sam's in there hanging out, chowing down, too.
Oh, look, a deli meat.
Yeah, exactly. They're hanging out, clinking deli meats.
That's what his fucking fingers are made out of, dude. Vienna sausage.
He's like the Freddy from Part 3, but they're all sausages.
Instead of hypodermic needles.
Oh, my God. Giving Edward Penis Hands a run for his money.
There you go. So he ends up reading the paper to him. Now, Kim had come over and talked to Michael, and Michael was like, oh, he was my best friend, and,
oh, God, just
I'm
off
so
the cuff.
sad to see him go, and blah, blah, blah. She ends up putting that, like, in the school paper. And she's like, I didn't do it today. She did later. But he's like, isn't this fucked up? He's like, look what Kim did to you. Now everybody's going to know that it was you.
Twisting the knife.
Yeah. So he's basically like, he's saying all the shit to him. And he's like, only I can save you now. And he's like, buddies forever. And he's like, you motherfucker. Like, Kyle was my friend. And he grabs him and he cuts his hand with his nails.
Yes.
And he bleeds all over this book. And it's kind of crazy because he pulls his hand back and there's no blood. But the blood that's on the notepad like turns into the third disc of the game.
And this is also where he's like intimidating him and saying, yeah, it was your fault your mother died. Remember that night when your mother died? You want to go back to that, in the mud? Remember
the blood? What did it remind you of that night?
Yeah.
And he's like, play it. He's like, play it or take your own life. And he's like, you want to join your mother? Why don't you go kill yourself then? I know you thought about it a lot.
I mean, which the movie is kind of inferring a lot, too. So it's like, wow.
He's like, your father who ignored you and your mother who abandoned you. And, like, he's drilling him fucking hard, dude. And he's like, the girl you can't even talk to. And now your friend, the friend that you killed and all this stuff.
Meanwhile, this is all kind of juxtaposed with this character also just watching the Three Stooges disorder in the court, laughing his ass off minutes before he's, like, just really needling, literally and figuratively, this kid.
He's like, you're all alone and nobody cares about you. Why don't you just kill yourself? Or I can help you.
Yeah.
There's just like this interstitial, this dream that he has real quick, which is like weird because it's a dream, I guess a dream within we'll get to that part. But like he has a dream where like he's sleeping with Kim and she like turns into like the dead guy that he stabbed to death.
Oh yeah, she's like riding him. Yeah.
And this is the part where Kim goes to see him and he's like, fuck you wrote all that shit in the paper. She's like, I didn't do it, Stacy did it. And the whole time Frank Langella's like watching them.
Yeah.
He like throws the fucking newspaper out the window.
Right, well, because he's like opening this window all dramatically while she's yelling outside. And then he like slams the window and she's still yelling and he just turns the music up. Like, I don't want to hear this.
Yeah, fucking like an angsty teen that he is.
Yeah. Turns the Cure up up to 11.
We get some pretty good tunes in this, man.
We do.
I definitely heard some White Zombie playing before. So they assemble a neighborhood watch party. Frank Langella assembles a neighborhood watch party.
This is like literally right after he breaks into their house. It's like the scene after.
Yeah, like we were saying before with the ashes. It's like he just walks in and does it. It's like, what the fuck?
police sting based on this evidence in this plastic bag that I stole.
Definitely you, kid. I mean, it was, but yeah.
If I see anybody with a gun tonight, I'm gonna be really upset, but I'm not gonna really enforce it at all.
Well, I'm gonna take away your gun and I'm gonna put you in jail.
But that's after the fact. Probably should have done it before the fact, but I'll worry about that later if it comes up, which it definitely will not.
Joe Cabot's there with the fucking Peacemaker bat, like
God,
like everybody from Silver Bullet. That party's out there walking through the woods.
Does that mean Evil Dies Tonight is fucking there too?
I mean, he might be. Yeah,
Tommy,
Anthony Michael Hall's there. Definitely.
God.
Yeah,
look out.
He's got to go stop the killer, man.
He's gonna end this Halloween for good.
He's killing Oswald Cobblepot, and they're shooting a fucking innocent cop.
Right.
So Mike plays the third disc, and he's like, fine, I'll play because it's just a clue that he has to cover up. He doesn't have to kill anybody.
That's what he keeps telling himself.
That's what Trickster keeps telling him.
He gets sent to the fucking Black Lodge or something. Finds this white picket fence he's crawling over.
Well, it's Kyle's house.
Yes.
And so Trickster tells him that there are footprints in the mud, but you got to find them. So he goes to Kyle's house. There's a big tarp over it. He lifts it up, and he's rubbing him out. But as he's rubbing him out, in the house, the cop is dusting for prints, and Trickster calls him. And he's like, hey, I'm pretty sure somebody's on the property. Why don't you look out the window? And he's like, who is this? He's like, just a concerned citizen. And he like hangs up the phone. And he goes to look out the window, and he sees Edward Furlong like running away. He's like, son of a bitch.
Well, you know why? Because Eddie wasn't in the bushes. He wasn't hiding well enough this time.
I mean, he was like, well, he also has a limp because of his knee, which I thought was kind of cool that happens, that little character quirk.
But he is kind of solid snaking around this fucking place before he gets caught.
Yeah. So that guy chases him, and then Edward Furlong is chased into like this new development that's getting built.
Yeah. Construction site.
And it's pretty cool. There's some pretty cool shit here with like the buildings that are not built, like that are being finished. And like one of the search party is his principal, and he grabs him. And he's like, this little motherfucker, but he can't get the walkie to work.
Yeah.
And somehow in the scuffle, he hits this bar, and like a literal ton of bricks fall on this fucking guy and crush his body.
Like 100% killed himself. Like not even the dude's fault.
No.
It's the principal's fault. The 100 fucking. He's gonna
Yeah.
get blamed for it, but
sure.
100% his own fault. Even in that scene before the principal dies, or it might be right after that, he's hiding from all these cops and these neighborhood watchers, and it's like ET's like crawling around in the woods, and it's like literally flashlights on his face. No one sees this guy.
That one cop with the mustache, he looks like Buckflower, but it's not him. And he's like looking for him, and it's like he's right in front of you.
These people have baby's day out vision.
Oh, it is, yeah, for
Big
sure.
fucking time.
Yeah. So he like ducks out into one of the basements that's unfinished and like covers himself in garbage, which is kind of fine. It's like a good way to hide. But then Thor like comes down the stairs and is like about to have it, find him out.
The dog's back.
He's like, come on, Thor. He's like, just give me one more time, buddy. He's like, just leave me alone. And then it like runs away, and you think he's good. And then this scene totally throws you for a loop.
Yeah, the deputy detective, like walks
from
in
Kyle's house.
From Kyle's house, and he's got his pistol out.
He's
and
like brandishing this gun.
I guess just the neighborhood watch, the locals just get scared, and just this fucking farmer-looking guy just unloads with a shotgun or a rifle and like, just kills this guy.
It's like he's got a gun, and he just blows him away.
Again. The fucking detective Hayden, no weapons. If I see you with a weapon, you're gonna be in trouble. This guy gets shot and no one gets arrested. It's just like, we found the killer.
Or something.
We guess.
Well, this is when Edward Furlong runs into the cop.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing here, kid? He's like, you better get out of here. They just shot the killer over there.
You're right.
And he's like, hurry on home now. It's 3 a.m, but okay.
And Hayden's like looking at the dead partner, like his dead partner, like, huh.
Which one of you motherfuckers is going to call his wife?
Huh, I need a new partner now. Shit.
Now Frank Langella has like a vendetta against the killer because he's not going to put him away with like the evidence and stuff. He's just going to fucking take him down when he finds out who it is.
Well, right. Well, before we even get to that though,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, you're right. We cut back to Edward Furlong, coming out of it, the blowjob, and saying, "Oh, whoa, what the hell happened this time? I didn't kill anybody. I just wanted to get a clue." Oh no, someone still died, idiot.
Yeah, Kim sees him go home this time.
Right.
And she's like,
"New witness."
She's like, "Hey, Michael, what are you doing?" And he's like totally out of it. He goes upstairs.
1 minute and 50 seconds left on the clock.
Jesus.
Thank God that those locals shot that cop, or else I don't know, you would have turned into dust or something, Edward Furlong.
What would have happened if he ran out of time? I guess he would have just.
Spoilers, we never find out.
Spoilers will talk about that when
Well,
we get there. Sorry, I don't want to give away the goat yet.
No, I'm not.
No, I know, but I'm saying I want to talk more about that.
We never do get a countdown to 0. I feel like that's not a huge spoiler to put out.
No, I know. I'm saying I want to hypothesize about what would have happened.
Okay, I got you.
So again, Trickster's like, it's only a crime if you get caught, and there's a witness, and you know who she is, Bucko. She lives right next door. You want to fuck her? You took all those pictures of her
and videos.
Yeah. Part 4 shot. It's part 4 shot.
Oh god.
It's a boy.
It's a piece of shit. So now it's like he gets the option, like, kill yourself or kill Kimberly. That's your options. Tough shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, this kid's been pretty selfish, but you think for once he's gonna be like, no, I'm gonna just kill myself.
Well, right, or being like, look, I'm not playing the fucking game.
Right,
Fuck yourself. I'll go to jail at least. Maybe not kill yourself, but be like, fine, I'm just gonna turn myself in. I'm not gonna hurt the woman who I'm in love with, and I don't want anybody else to get hurt, so I'm just gonna stop.
I mean, he does actually. I mean, I'm joking, but he does have a moment there where he's kind of like contemplating. I think that's what they're trying to show, is him just sitting there like, huh, am I gonna do this or what? And then we find out what happens.
Before that happens, some cops roll up to Langella, and they give him the results of the forensics test on the ashes. And it turns out the blood from the guy they first killed was on his clothes, along with like another blood type, which I guess is his.
Maybe that's why I thought he burned the foot, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it was on, he's bone bloody. That's why he burned him. But Trickster stops Mike from turning himself in.
Oh, because that's like his last option. Like, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm not going to kill her. I'm just going to turn myself in.
I'm just going to turn myself in. That's like his last thing that he's going to do. And Trickster's like, no, this is the ultimate experience in horror. That's the whole point of this game.
Right. It's like Resident Evil.
He's like, it's not watching horror movies or spying on your neighbor that you want to fuck. That's not a thrill. This is it.
Voyeurism. It's bad.
And he's like, her life or yours. Choose which one. And he fucking fires up part 4, dude. And he's just like, that's it. He's like, okay, I guess I got to kill her.
I mean, the way it's shot is just like, again, you think he's going to maybe do the right thing, but he totally, absolutely does not.
Igor, dial Brainscan. Goodbye, master.
Yeah, like he knows.
Yeah, like he knows.
You fucked up. I'll see ya.
Adios, master.
I'll be not back. Because remember, it's Arnold. You just see Igor has like a thumb coming up. So then he gets sucked into the fucking Job wormhole.
So he just goes outside and breaks into Kim's house, and he takes a pair of scissors that he's going to stab her to death with.
So he creeps the fuck over there, like a little ninja or something, and she
walks in like with no problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
She's sleeping. She's sprawled out, and he's got these scissors, like you're saying, in his hand, and he's ready to end it.
He's like having second thoughts.
He's having a little bit internal battle between him and this Trickster character, I guess.
Because you hear the voice.
Yes.
And then, Trickster's like behind him. And
he
appears. Like, go ahead, do it. Just kill her.
So he's about to stab her, and then you're right. Yeah, the Trickster shows up. He's behind her and everything.
And he's like coercing him to do it. And he's like, oh, if you won't do it, I'll just do it. So they start like fighting with each other. And Kim wakes up, and she this is the first time like another character acknowledges that Trickster's there.
Yeah.
And like sees him, and she screams, and then they're fighting it out. And
this is weird.
This is great. And he's, Edward Furlong's like, who are you? And he's like, Michael, haven't you figured it out already? I'm you. And it's like, oh, so Trickster is like the manifestation of all of his like subconscious thoughts about killing and stuff?
Right. I guess that is what it is, right?
Yeah. Like his devil on his shoulder, quote unquote,
I guess that you're right. That is the best explanation you get. It is kind of like a Luke Skywalker in, the challenge with Yoda from 2.
Oh, kind of. Yeah. Like, but it's just really cool. But he's able to stab Trickster. So he stabs him with the scissors, and it like sucks his fucking hand into his arm.
That's weird.
And then he like gives him the old Stooges eye poke.
Yeah, the Larry Fine.
Dude, he pops his eyeballs, and the green goo comes out. And his hand gets sucked into Trickster's face, and they're like,
they're like
fighting, and they're like
morphing.
They're merging.
And they're merging, monkey,
yeah. And the faces are like getting distorted and like sucked together and shit. At one point, Trickster like sucks Edward Furlong's fucking head into his mouth.
He fucking eats him.
Dude, his whole body goes into his mouth, and this is like Matthew Lawrence getting sucked into fucking cyberspace in Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. He like goes down the tunnel.
What was that movie again? Say that again.
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. It was a Japanese show called Gridman, and then it was like a Power Rangers deal where Saban licensed it, and then it was Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. But each time he went into the whole thing of that was them going into a computer and fighting viruses.
Okay,
like
that makes sense.
Like kaiju viruses. But when he morphed, he would jump into the fucking like Austin Powers going into the thing and flying through this time tunnel or this not time tunnel, but computer
internet
virtual
thing.
Reality tunnel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that definitely is what's happening here. Getting sucked into the tunnel.
That's what it looks like. But to be fair, the digital effects look pretty fucking good for a low budget movie in '94.
Well, now that you do say that, I thought the gut punch thing, I thought that kind of looked like shit, honestly. I thought the green stuff coming out of his eyes looked cool, and I thought
that's practical.
Him going through looked cool.
But Sean, it's
that's true.
Low budget CGI for '94.
It does look good. Him going through this tunnel or whatever, this wormhole.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it looked really fucking good considering, like, all things considered.
No, I agree. I guess just specifically when he gets stabbed, I didn't think that looked great, but everything else looks good.
Yeah, but like when they're melding, it kind of looks
awesome.
Good. Or like even when his head gets sucked in, it looks pretty.
I mean, you got to spend your budget where it makes sense. If I'm gonna nitpick one little thing as far as the effects go, it's that, and the rest looks great. So.
Yeah. No, 100%.
In the scheme of things.
I think the green screen at the end looks a little wonkier. That's like Charlie Bounty Hunter style from Critters 2.
There's that too.
So now he's possessed by Trickster.
Yes.
Okay. Now Trickster and Edward Furlong are one.
He goes full scanners. His eyes.
Oh
change.
yeah, dude. He looks like it's totally. He goes full Ironside. His fucking eyes change color. He's got like the veins in his face. Now here's a cool thing that I want to mention. There was a deleted scene here. So. In the film, as you watch it here, it's just Edward Furlong and he's got some makeup on. There was a whole sequence where there was this meshed animatronic monster of Edward Furlong and Trickster like melded together, and it like talked and stuff.
Is that where Steve Johnson really would have come in? I would imagine.
Dude, this thing was awesome. It was like fully animatronic. It was like a dude in a suit, and like they ended up cutting it because
it was just not working.
It's not that kind of movie, right? Because it's like okay, here you have this whole psychological thriller, then you have like this monster at the end.
Guyver.
I mean, hey, I'm okay with it. It looked fucking sick. Like it looked so awesome. You can check out. I'm sure you can watch the deleted scene on YouTube or something, but it's on the disc if you want to check it out. It looks really cool. Kind of bummed they didn't leave it in, but I understand why.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think it makes or breaks the movie, but I don't know. I thought it was neat. And it was a lot of work, and it was a really cool creature that you don't even get to see.
I would like to see it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to see it in this episode because there's going to be some footage
there
of
you
it.
Go, okay.
So in this version of the movie, the final cut of the movie, it's just Edward Furlong. He has some makeup on. But he's sitting there and he's having this existential crisis because Trickster's kind of taken over his body. So now he's both hypnotized and possessed by Trickster, and Kim is trying to like reason with him.
Right, after seeing all this happen.
And she's like, I love you. And he's like, you would say that so you didn't die. And she's like, no, I love you. You know, I watch you too because I know that you watched me and recorded me and jerked off to me and I finger banged to you and I took pictures of you. I love you. We're just two teenagers in this crazy world that love each other. And he's able to shake Trickster.
Yeah. Projects him out of him.
He like projects him out of him. And Trickster's like, fine, you chose your thing, but I got one last surprise for you, bucko. He opens the door. Frank Langella comes in and just fucking blows a hole in him.
Like Dark Fate.
Dude.
Goodbye, John Connor.
John Connor.
Da-da-da. Again, and Igor in the corner. Dun, dun, dun.
Linda Hamilton takes the T-800 home. And then it's
I think Hayden's a T-800
or
1,000. I'm not sure.
You think so? Could be.
I mean, it's either him or the fucking Tony Perkis guy. It's one or the other.
Yeah, maybe.
But then, you think, okay, well, that's one way to end the movie. Like Back in Me or something.
Yeah. Well, at least he
he
doesn't get saved by a bunch of aliens. That's the problem.
Oh, man. Damn it.
Yeah.
That are sponsored by Mickey D's. Get your McNuggets
ready. Get your Big Macs, your
In-
Little Macs, and everything in between.
In fact, Edward Furlong's about to get his McNuggets ready because he wakes up in a cold sweat and his fucking milk and McNuggets are still there, Joe.
Oh, dude, he freaks out.
From a week or two ago.
So he's been playing this game, I guess, for a couple hours. Because he wakes up.
85 hours?
He wakes up, he slaps the fucking disgusting curdled milk off his desk, and it turns out the whole thing was the game. How he didn't go into cardiac arrest or epileptic shock from this, I don't know. Because he was been hypnotized for the past 2 hours playing this fucking game.
He didn't even need a leprechaun to do it.
No.
He didn't have to have someone say, hey, remember all that horrible shit that happened for the last hour? We're going to undo that because test audiences didn't like it.
Oh, yeah. And a very unlucky leprechaun.
That's the reference that only people that watch this show will get. So thank you for clarifying.
I wanted to say it out loud so people knew what the fuck you were talking about.
We also messed the name of that movie up. Or at least I messed it up constantly and call it The Unluckiest Leprechaun. That is not what it's called.
It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
So now
we get kind of an epilogue here.
Dude, Edward Furlong has his fucking Scrooge moment. He like wakes up and he's like, I'm not dead. My friends aren't dead. And he looks outside. He's like, is there still a party going? I haven't missed it. I haven't missed the party.
The 90s grunge is still playing.
That kick up that fucking white zombie, baby.
And man, he thinks he's having a moment of clarity. Okay, sure, maybe this is going to change his life. I think tomorrow he's going to wake up and start crying at how much money he just threw away. I don't care how fucking rich he is.
Well, Kyle knocks on the door and he opens the door and he gets him a hug. He's like, I love you, man. He's like, what are you doing, dicklick? He's like, there's a fucking party going on.
Not before he destroys thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of stereo and video game and computer equipment with a bat.
He goes full Ragman, destroys his whole fucking shit.
Ragman regretted that later. Some of those records never got reprints.
He broke all the records. He broke all the sound equipment. Edward Furlong's breaking his widescreen television, his computer. Igor's dead. That's it. Goodbye, sir. That's it.
He was already triggered by blood, car crashes. Now he's triggered by electronics. He goes into Walmart to just like fall over and start seizuring.
I mean, he might. Kyle's like, we got to go to that party, man. But hey, good thing you didn't play that Brainscan game, dude, because some kid in fucking Iowa played it and had a seizure, an epileptic seizure, and his fucking eyes exploded.
So I will say the element of the dream, I hate it. But it does add a pretty funny joke right here at the end here where he's like, yeah, Kimberly, yeah, I'm going to ask her out. Let's go.
Finally doing it, man. Let's go. I'm not going to be antisocial anymore, which is kind of a cool.
That's your Scrooge shit, right?
Yeah, no, well, right. But like, it's a positive thing at the end of the movie where it's like, I'm not going to be cooped up in my room. I'm not going to let my trauma, keep me held here anymore.
Right.
You know
and then Salami Sam stood up and said, I'm not going to eat so much salami anymore. Just half.
R.I.P., dude.
Oh, God, I forgot to mention that in the episode, but yeah,
multiple people have commented that on the episode, but R.I.P. Salami Sam.
One of the all-time great little small bit parts in a film.
Well, he's doing a cannonball in the pool next door, so he goes over.
He's at the party.
Yes.
Salami Sam's getting laid. Let's be real. He's with Stacy.
Oh, dude, yeah. He's hitting up Stacy, and like Edward Furlong can't get a date, right? But Salami Sam can.
And speaking of Stacy, it's just this like side character inserted at the end here who's hitting on fucking Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
And his friends with Kimberly and is basically saying, oh, yeah, Kimberly's upstairs with Taylor.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, Edward Furlong's like, oh, you got to be fucking with me. And he runs upstairs all worried.
And yeah, Kim is upstairs with Taylor, but Taylor's like throwing up in her sink. And she's like, oh my God. So he takes her off the side. He's like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute in your bedroom? And you're like, oh shit, here it comes.
This is embarrassing as hell. He's like, yeah, so, you want to go out?
Well, he's just very forward about it because he's been beating around the bush. He's been playing with that fucking video camera. He's been taking those pictures. It's enough wanking, dude. We got to get to the point.
He just had many, many hours to think about this in this imaginary dream situation.
So, I mean, this part's real because she's like, no. And he's like, what? And she's like, well, maybe. Not right now. I'm kind of taking care of this fucking jock douchebag in my bathroom throwing up everywhere. And he's like, okay, well, maybe. That's great. So you're telling me there's a chance.
Right, yeah, Dumb and Dumber, of course.
Yeah. But she ends up like kissing him, and you're like, oh, that's kind of sweet or whatever.
I guess. So I was just like, okay, so she is into him. All right. Well, so we didn't totally imagine it.
They're also kids. He goes over
16,
he goes over to her dressing table, and like it's just photos of him like in his room.
Right.
So she's been taking pictures of him as well. I don't think it's to the extent that he's been doing it.
Also,
there's no naked pictures of him.
I just realized this. If they're both supposed to be 16, what are we doing, movie? What the fuck are we? I just realized this late into the review.
You had a Ghost Shark moment.
God damn it!
You had a Night of the Demons 2
we
moment.
ogled that woman's tits. Was she 16?
No.
Well, Night of the Demons 2 was actually way more egregious because
Yeah.
the woman said she was older than she actually was.
Yeah.
That was an accidental
That
thing.
was an accidental thing. I don't think I think
she
I think
was
she was of
18 or
age.
20.
But
That's
Furlong,
just a funny detail.
Furlong's only 16 in the movie.
Well, they ain't gonna show his schlong.
Like in real life, no shit. But I'm just saying.
No,
like,
yeah.
In real life, so that's a whole thing tied up.
Well, they tie that up, yeah.
And then you think, okay, the movie's over. Nope, we're going back to school.
This is fucking Return of the King. Just end
it. This is the best part of the movie because he goes in to the principal's office. And he's
Talk
like,
about Night of the Demons.
He's like, hey, Doc, man, I got this game. Can you check it out? Because I want to show it to the horror club. And he's like, fine, Mr. Michael, whatever.
Bowers.
Michael Bauer, and he takes it. And he's like, you're going to have a really good time with that, Doc. See you later. And like Trickster appears in the chair. Now this is a bad effect because it looks like Charlie Bounty Hunter shit from Critters 2. Because he's like green screened into a chair and he's like laughing and he's like, thanks, see you later, Ed. And he's like, see you later, Trickster, have fun.
Like a total afterthought.
This fucking old man is gonna play this game and he is going to die of a brain aneurysm.
First disc.
He's gonna be on the news with his eyes popped out of his head.
He should be calling IT at Brainscan. How the fuck do I need a memory card? What? The funny thing is he's actually his first kill is Edward Furlong because they need to tie up that loose end.
Well, whatever his dreams are. So the game pulls out it like does a neural link with you and like whatever your desire is becomes the game.
Yeah, and also like okay, so the movie ends. And then it just decides, by the way, we're not going to do a post-credit scene. We're going to do a mid-credit scene.
Probably one of the first mid-credit scenes.
Yeah.
No, probably not one of the first.
But it took me off guard
Yeah.
as we go back to this fucking German Shepherd.
Yeah, Trickster's like, wait a minute, what about this? And it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the German Shepherd, and you're like, okay. And he's got the foot in his mouth from the guy who didn't die in real life. Or did he?
I guess he did. So I guess the first kill actually happened, but then he woke up and the rest didn't happen. Or did they just shoot too much B-roll and they're like, we got to show this because he drops the foot back off at Edward Furlong's house because now he's going to get caught.
I don't know what they're trying to say here. Is this like an extended scene of Company of Wolves? Like when they blow through the window and then they get the foot? I don't know. Whose foot is that? And why?
That's the guy.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, what's the point of it?
I mean, I can get a foot anywhere. Just give me a couple hours.
But he brings it to his doorstep. And then the dog's just like, that's me. I'm Thor.
We were playing fetch, right?
Or something. And then it just ends.
Even though you totally buried that way later, I guess I just found it
Oh, he
somewhere.
dug it up. Yeah, he dug it up. In the game world? Is it the game world?
It
I don't
doesn't
know.
make any fucking sense.
I think that's the mind fuck, right? Like, is he really awake or is it still the game?
I think that's what they want you to think, but that's definitely not what they intended.
I think like now that he's been affected by it, he always sees Trickster now, and that actually happened.
Again,
and
the
more
Arkham
people,
games.
Well, the more people that play the game are affected by it. It's almost like Sammy Kerr's tape, dude. You play that tape, he's everywhere. you
They
know?
wish it was like Sammy Kerr's
like,
fucking tape.
Well, it's like what happens to your brain when your brain's on the box, dude.
Right.
Edward Nigma's box.
Yeah, the Riddler sucks it out. The Diddler.
Oh, this is Nigma Tech, by the
Oh,
way.
it is. I was thinking it earlier. We didn't really go into it. I don't know if I always want to reference Enigma Tech, but it's impossible not to think of it when you think of brain scanning, sucking.
Brain scanning, sucking up your brain waves, feeding off your brain. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 3D television or something, hypnosis, turning them into zombies.
Val Kilmer would not have approved.
Val Kilmer's got to throw that batarang at Trickster's fucking big
God.
globe. So yeah, man, where are we putting Brainscan?
Man, I did not like this movie.
Are you serious?
I did not like this
Come
much
on.
at all.
You're such a bullshit artist.
You want me to tell it like it is? I mean, I was pretty fucking positive throughout this. I just did not like this, man. I thought it was very slow. I thought the kills were okay. I just thought the best part was the Trickster. I thought the rest kind of was like, nothing special.
Okay.
Didn't jump out at me. He's kind of, for me at least, maybe if I gave this a few more viewings, maybe it'll stand out to me more, but this just didn't click.
Is this a I don't know what I'm getting exactly, or I thought I was getting something else situation?
I mean, that might factor into it just a little bit. Maybe not as bad as some other films for sure, like a Fatal Termination, where I was really like expecting something totally different than what I got. I don't know. This just didn't click for me, man. I don't know. It was
That's unfortunate.
thinking about just the Freddy connections. I can't help but jump to that, and not that that's necessarily a bad thing. Trying
It was
to come
also
up.
purposeful.
No, it was,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily a bad thing, even if it is trying to get that cash grab a little bit.
Sure.
But I do like the character, and I do like the effects, even though that one that I was kind of poking at did bother me a little bit. But overall, they're very good, and I like the ideas in this film. The execution maybe not all there, and I blame a lot of that on Edward Furlong, and maybe that's just like the most obvious punching bag in the room, and how many people have shat on fucking Edward Furlong, and I don't want to just do that. That's not my point.
Yeah.
It's just clearly, and there's documentation, there's many interviews with the director and other people involved with films he's been in where he just didn't know what he was doing. He was kind of put in that spotlight with Terminator 2. Maybe it was just like a flash in the pan kind of thing. And that's unfortunate.
There's a lot of pressure on him.
A lot of pressure.
He was also having like a relationship with a woman who was like 26 when he was 16, like at the time of this filming. So this was like the beginning of the end for him in terms of like the trajectory of his life, which is fucked up.
It is. And he's talked about it in length and is well documented if you want to read more about it. And it just kind of takes me out of it. I wish it was somebody else in this role. I understand why it might have been him at this time period. Again, he was hot.
Yeah.
Just get someone else in this role. They might like it a lot more, but he really kind of just sucked the air out of the room for me.
I actually like him in this movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
He just didn't do it for me. Not to just keep beating around a bush that he's hiding under.
Sure. Well, you're not going to see him.
No. Yeah. I don't know. This one just didn't click. I don't want to just talk in a circle here, but it's where in the dumpster is it though?
Now this is the question.
Now this is a case of just a movie I didn't like. I didn't hate it. I don't think there's anything seriously wrong with it. I just think a lot of little things added up to be like, I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pushed down there, Joe. I hate to break it to you.
Hey, that's fine. I was just a little shocked, but now I've accepted it.
I'm getting at the galoshes. I'm taking your VHS tape and your Blu-ray, and I'm stomping it deep in there.
Okay.
And it's being ground up into this this blood DVD somehow in the dumpster. You know, this thing's fucking magical. It doesn't really matter.
It is magic.
And it's living in there, so you can actually retrieve it very easily. This thing's indestructible.
Yeah.
But good luck getting through all the toxic waste. Baby diapers, human feces, all the negative shit that's in there. Egon Spangler's corpse got lost in there at some point, so good luck finding it if you want it. It's not for me.
I am completely opposite on this one. It's on the shelf for me, dude. I really like, first and foremost, I love the atmosphere of this movie. That's the first and foremost thing. I love the way I love the way this movie feels, and I love the way that it's shot. It just feels good, and again, it's that type. It has a great sort of fall or early spring kind of feel to it, and I guess it's a shore town because I hear seagulls in one of the things, so maybe. It's like it kind of gives it like this dreary coastal town feel that I really like. Dreary coastal town. So I think that feels really good about this. I like the setting a lot, and I like the idea behind it a lot. It has a lot more to say, I think. I mean, not that it's some crazy deep thing, but I feel like it has to say more than a lot of other movies like this. And again, to the forefront, it's more like a thriller, crime, drama, sort of kind of deal, mystery, than it is a horror movie.
I mean, it definitely is a horror movie, but I could totally see what you mean.
No, it's a horror movie, but I'm saying it's more in the background. Like, it's not like a chop mud, blood, and guts kind of thing. It's not a slasher, in my opinion. I wouldn't call it that.
I mean, not that the internet's the expert on everything, but when I looked it up just out of morbid curiosity, a lot of different websites classified it as slasher. I mean, you could be subjective on that for sure, but I get what you're saying. It's a lot more of a thriller than just a straight people walking around getting butchered. I get what you mean. I mean,
Edward Furlong only kills 2 people, and one is off screen.
Yeah. And one of the other kills is someone getting shot by
somebody else. So it's not like in Trickster doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like Leprechaun, some of those movies. It's like, some of them he kills a lot of people, some he doesn't, but you could argue they're all slashers.
I mean, even in the first one, he kills a few people. He kills Dan O'Grady. He kills the fucking shop owner.
Maybe that was a bad example.
He kills the cop. The main bad guy in this movie doesn't necessarily kill anybody. He's just like an outside influence.
That is a good point.
But again, he's more like a...
He's like the delegator. He makes you do the killing.
Right, and that's the whole thing. He's like the devil on your shoulder kind of guy.
Like you were
and again, he's part of Edward Furlong's conscience, more so than like an actual being that does stuff. You know what I mean? He's an influencer.
Literally.
trickster, literally. He fucks with his mind, and then it all turns out that it was all in Edward Furlong's head anyway, and it was a projection of his subconscious. That's what it is.
Brought on by this video game, I
and
guess.
also linked up with his trauma that he had when he was a kid. So like you're delving into this kind of thing where you're fucking with your brain and you're neuro linking with this hypnotism, and it's like having these regressed thoughts like pulled to the forefront and like projecting themselves in weird, strange ways. You know what I mean?
I guess that's what I wanted more of. Now that you're like kind of expressing that, maybe some more of, instead of just these flashbacks to him seeing this, maybe we get some more straight up Nightmare on Elm Street or House even kind of stuff. Maybe in the back of my head, maybe that's what I wanted subconsciously. Now that you're saying that,
it's more inferred than it is really delved into.
I do like in movies. I'm not saying I don't. I've liked it many times in the past on this show, but maybe I just, again, not like forward thinking about how I wanted that, but in the back of my head, I'm like, if that makes sense.
Well, to that point, I think that's like the struggle of the movie, and I think they've even talked about it in interviews and stuff where it was like the director wanted one thing and the studio wanted another thing, and that's why you had Trickster in it in the first place, because he wasn't even in the original script.
Yeah, not to cut you off in the middle of your final thought, but that is I know you mentioned that much earlier in the episode, but that is an interesting thought. What was that original script? Like, what was that original vision?
It was a voice on the phone. It was just a voice. It was this disembodied voice, which, and like I said in the beginning, makes more sense because you want somebody to bounce off the main character instead of just a voice. It makes more sense, and the Trickster is a cool fucking character, and he looks awesome, and he's scary and shit, and I really like him. You know what I mean? He is a Freddy, Rumpelstiltskin-y. Even Maurice from Little Monsters, almost. Kind of gives me that vibe.
Snarky.
Yeah, snarky, wise ass.
Messing with you
and stuff. And I like how he's just like an extension of like his brain of Edward Furlong's brain.
Find out, yeah.
I really dig this movie a lot. I think it's really fucking good, and especially for like a an early 90s horror movie, especially what it deals with and like the technology angle and like the video game angle. I think it's really cool. I mean, like we talked before the recording, like you have Arcade the year before from Full Moon, which is not the same thing. And man, you want to talk about bad CGI?
Never seen it myself.
Like early bad CGI. I mean that's kind of the point of the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's good. It's not this. It's something totally different.
Sure, yeah, you're just saying, yeah. But yeah, like we said, like this is one of, if not the first horror video game themed film.
I think it might be the first. This is trying to be scary.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like it is
It's not Robin Williams' Toys.
No, it's like a horror thriller with like video game and technology kind of tacked onto it. But it's a cool thing. It's almost kind of reminiscent too of like 976 Evil with Stephen Jeffries, where like he calls the devil and he like slowly becomes possessed by a devil. It's really good. We gotta check that one out. Or like a demon rather.
Yeah.
It's really good. But that's another case of like outcast kid, nerdy kid gets
evil speak.
Yes, yeah, no, 100%. I mean, this is less so like that. This is kind of like evil speak too, but this is less so that because he's not like giving Edward Furlong powers or anything like that.
No, I mean this is almost. I mean it's a different execution, obviously, but. Yeah, the episode / movie I was referencing earlier that's similar to this is Pinocchio's Revenge.
Yeah, kind of.
Ending wise, at least that twist that it was this instead of what you thought it was kind of thing. It was it was all in their head kind of thing.
Yeah.
Different ways they go about it. This is a little bit more something is fucking influencing him, whereas Pinocchio's Revenge is just no, this kid's fucking crazy.
100%. And the ending of this might seem like a cop out, but I don't really think so. I think it's fine.
Maybe that's another reason why I didn't like it. I didn't.
You thought it was
that.
You thought it was cop out
ending, which is my same problem with a lot of films that do this. Yeah. Not all.
Yeah, and I can see how that could piss you off.
And I do appreciate the joke of him asking her out. She doesn't flat out say no, but I almost think it'd be funnier if she's like, "What are you, nuts?" But that's not the kind of film they're trying to make.
I like well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I like the resolution of him kind of coming out of his shell and kind of
I get it, yeah,
being more social and kind of experiencing other things than just inside his room and kind of not letting that control his whole life. So I like that part of it.
Right, like his whole life being Rear Window or some shit.
Right, exactly. Stop taking naked pictures of your neighbor and just go ask her out on a date.
Be lucky she didn't slap the shit out of you and slap on a lawsuit.
What if she didn't feel the same way?
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Either way, I guess it works out for him.
Anyway, it works out.
Unless he gets arrested by Hayden after that foot's found.
Yeah.
We're not really clear on those details.
Yeah. But yeah, I really dig the score too. I think it all works for me. It's a really good watch. Like I'm not too hot on 90s horror movies, and I think this one does it for me. It's in the pocket for me.
Hits the spot.
Yeah, it hits the spot. It's a different flavor too, which I like. Yeah. It's not it's not necessarily a slasher or a monster movie. It's
very unique.
There's monster elements to it, and there's horror elements to it, but it's more like a psychological thriller type deal, which may not be what you're expecting when you walk into this, you know?
And hey, if none of that does that for you, it's got a few minutes of Three Stooges in there, yes. If that's what you want to watch it for. But I think that was well said, Joe.
Yeah, I think it's a really good time, man, and I wouldn't mind seeing Brainscan too. I wouldn't mind seeing more Trickster.
From Movie Dumpster, we bring it back.
Oh, dude, yeah, let's do it. Brainscan 2, Electric Boogaloo, yeah.
Sean's gonna put his money where his mouth is, talking totally out of his ass. Yeah, Sean, you come up with something better. That's not what I'm saying, but okay.
But yeah, man, it's a great time.
And if you guys want some more Movie Dumpster content, you can head over to patreon.com/Movie Dumpster and sign up for $2 a month to get yourself an ad-free version of this show, audio version of this show. We also have a $5 and $10 tier. You can get yourself some live watch-alongs where we watch a movie with you guys, the Dumpster Dwellers, commentary tracks for movies, t-shirts, pins, stickers. We got a whole lot of different things. Mini-sodes, short episodes on movies that you only see on Patreon. Check it out, patreon.com/Movie Dumpster.
Totally, man. And dig this, for no money at all. If you're watching on YouTube, you can like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, do us a favor and leave a 5-star review and a written review on there for us. Those help us more than anything, okay? More than the Patreon, more than you buying a shirt from the store, anything like that, anything financial. It only takes a minute, and it's free, and that helps the show the most. So if you could do that for us, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, if you want to follow what's going on with the Dumpster Boys, you can head over to MovieDumpsterPodcast.com or follow us on social media at Movie Dumpster. And if you want to find out what's going on, head over to that website. We got all our live events that are coming up listed on there, our episodes. We got merch, t-shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff. Beach towels. The summer's coming up, guys. Get those beach towels, your Movie Dumpster beach towels. MovieDumpsterPodcast.com. Check it out.
So that's it. That's Brainscan from 1994, directed by John Flynn. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Thanks for visiting the Dumpster.